Three, two, one. I don't know. Hey,
Uh,
I.
Zingo. Okay, there we go.
Anyways, yeah. We're back. Kind of inconsistent with uploads, haven't it? We haven't uploaded in like a month. I mean,
Oh,
we've been I have been at least I have been pretty busy throughout the month of March. So yeah, I wanted to get this video out maybe earlier, but like I said, we were busy. There were also other movies we might want to talk about at some point, some new releases, you know? Like
yeah.
I don't know, like Scream
A
6.
65?
Yeah. Um Cocaine Bear, such classics like that. And the Mara
Hmm.
movie's coming out soon, and you'll bet we're discussing about that because at this point we feel obligated to, aren't we?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We have talked about the
Maybe a
movie a
couple
lot
weeks.
during this podcast. So yeah. Um
We covered like both trailers, and
yeah,
like all that
both.
stuff.
So
That,
yeah, I'm
yeah.
Anthony. Just gonna reintroduce ourselves. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm Brian.
yeah,
Yeah.
and welcome
Like
to
you're
Camping
familiar.
Cast. Welcome back. It's a bit of a different video this time around. Instead of just doing news, movies, or TV shows and whatnot, this time we're doing a ranking type thing, kind of like. We planned this video for a while, and we kept wondering of how we were gonna do it. Were we just gonna list our top 10 best movies, top 10 worst, top worst? Um, but instead, here's what we're going to do. This will be split up into three columns. The first one will be discussing our personal favorites of the year 2022 with film releases. Then we'll discuss some of the worst movies in 2022 releases. And then I guess we'll just do the other ones that weren't bad enough to make the worst column, but weren't good enough to make the good column either. But still,
Yeah,
maybe
just stuff that
quite worth.
provides like an interesting discussion, but isn't like
Yeah,
top or bottom.
and if you want to
So,
see our like total ranking, we'll leave both our rankings of the entire films we have saw in the description. Also, disclaimer: there are two movies in particular that I'm not gonna that we will not mention in this video. Films like Marcel the Shell and The Freakin' supposedly premiered in 2020. Marcel premiered in 2021 at film festivals, but was released theatrically in 2022 and was nominated for an Oscar. But like, we're just trying to keep this more direct, so yeah.
yeah,
If you're,
thing is, I don't think neither film would have even made my bottom 10 or top 10 either way,
I
so it
think it
wouldn't have
probably would,
affected.
but yeah,
Marcel maybe for the top, but even still, I've like talked about this a couple times with friends. But thing is, like, I understand the perspective of people who would put it on their 2022 list, but for me, it will irrationally annoy me if it says 2021, like on the year
on the
when it's
letterbox.
2022. That like, and then it doesn't match up with my list because I like sort stuff by
Yeah,
release
that's
date on
fair.
list.
That's
That
fair.
would like really annoy me irrationally. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, same with The
that's a
Freakin',
whole other thing
which we
too.
already talked about like 2 episodes ago. So just go to that if you want a discussion. And Marcel's good. All right, that's all we'll say. It's a great,
Yeah,
wholesome,
that's
nice
if you're
movie.
great,
Happy
nice
you got some
film.
credit on the Oscars despite it not being fully animated. Also, I guess we'll kind of share our thoughts on some of the Oscar nominees this video, I guess. So yeah, also
Mm.
we haven't all both of us haven't seen like all the same movie releases. So every now and again we'll dabble in like our own discussion of films that like we ourselves have seen that we feel like mentioning in certain categories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen more movies than he has, and yeah. Yeah, so we haven't yeah, but we're gonna stick most of the movies that we have seen we have both seen, so like most of it will just be average discussions. So yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
if it's a movie that we've already talked about on the podcast, we will quickly just summarize our thoughts and direct you to those videos. So yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. Oh yeah, the Oscars were this year. I guess we could quickly mention that before we get into it.
I did
I mean
not
next
watch the
week.
Oscars, but I
Uh,
know like the general stuff of
It
what
wasn't
won,
that bad.
but didn't.
I mean, my expectations were really low because the last two Oscar years were like horrific in terms of what won and just some of the cringe stuff. And 2020's Oscars was just really boring. But this one actually had a fair share of like good speeches and good awards. Um, I don't mind Del Toro's Pinocchio winning over Puss in Boots 2, even though I personally have grown to like that film
I'm
more.
just glad it wasn't Turning Red because, frankly, I would rather any film other
Just
than Turning
anything,
Red
even
get it.
the
Like out of the
random
four that was
Netflix movie that
nominated.
was nominated for Best Animated Feature, The Sea Beast, which I also have seen. Yeah.
But
I was fine with most of the awards. Everything Everywhere All at Once. I thought it deserved a lot of the awards. The stuff I was
yeah,
mad about was All Quiet on the Western Front winning so many awards, which I will discuss later in this video. But yeah, don't have too much to say, but good for Brendan Fraser. Yeah, good for Brendan Fraser. That's how I can summarize it.
yeah.
Um,
I saw his like speech and some of it after the fact. That stuff was nice.
yeah,
I'm glad he
good
got
for
that.
his recognition. Good. So
I
yeah,
will say though, in a morbid sense, it would have been funny if Elvis won Best Picture, but
we'll get to that's.
that would be a terrible decision. But it would be morbidly funny if it did.
I'll get into
Uh,
my Elvis thoughts at least later.
mhm.
Anyways, let's move on to what we think are the best films of 2022. So I'd say
Mhm.
it's appropriate. Let's start off with one of the most popular releases of 2022, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Um, we
Huh.
both saw this
Yeah.
together, actually, went to the
Yeah.
theaters. It has been a while since I remember watching it. I definitely need to rewatch this movie, but I do remember quite a bit of it. It's an insanely creative and visually delighting experience, and it's not like any film I have probably ever seen before. Everything just works for me. The emotions are incredibly well edited. The whole thing is just so well put together. The performances are great. Um, it's visually great. The whole thing has a very simple but like very like well told emotional core, and it just all lands well for me. I definitely need to rewatch this movie. It is easily one of the best of the year and
Yeah.
deserves all the credit it gets.
Yeah. The theater experience. I remember when we like both saw it, like a while back at this point. Actually, that was like
It was like a
really
year
nice.
ago.
Even though there was like 12 other people there, which kind of sucked, but I think it made more money later after the fact. Because like I remember at the time we just wanted to see it because like I remember it was back at number one on
Yeah, it beat
Letterboxd or whatever.
Parasite for a while. It's
Yeah,
definitely
which was
lower
really
now, but
weird. Like
like
I did not
still.
expect that at all,
Yeah,
and it
another
probably
nice.
shouldn't be that
Yeah, I
high.
think a
Like
nice
I think
detail.
250 is worth it, but not like that high in the 250
Yeah,
worth
but
it.
still, it's like
But,
you can tell there's a lot to this movie. I also like the little detail on Letterboxd where like the logged symbol is like a googly eye from the
oh yeah,
movie. That's a nice
oh that's
little
a cute
detail.
detail.
You
Yeah.
can tell there's like just a lot of passion, and I'm happy there's been so much critical praise toward
Yeah,
this.
I'm happy is doing as well as it is.
Yeah,
Even like Oscar stuff because like
happy it
the fact that
swept
this
the
movie
Oscars this
the
year.
fact that this movie won like Best Picture, that's great. But like this doesn't seem like the type of movie the Oscars would give recognition to if it wasn't getting
Yeah.
all this like hype everywhere else. I'm
hmm
very glad it did win because that's like a good thing to win Best Picture. But
Yeah, I agree. It's a
yeah,
great movie. Yeah, the only award I'd say I was confused about is Jamie Lee Curtis winning, like, Best Supporting Actor, I think. I think that was it. But,
yeah, I
like,
remember that. Yeah,
yeah, I think Stephanie
I mean
Hughes
she's great in the
definitely.
movie, but it's not like
It's
out
like,
of the
I don't.
nominations.
I was
No.
confused by how. I don't even. I was surprised that she was even nominated. like,
Yeah,
yeah, I think she was I think she won Best Supporting Actress, and I was all like, really? Like,
yeah,
I honestly think that Stephanie Hughes definitely deserved it more. I think she did a much better job in the movie. And, like, shit, her performance was just kind of passable, you know? Nothing wrong with it, nothing
yeah, yeah.
outstanding. Her role in the story was, like, pretty, like, there wasn't much to it. So I was like
Yeah.
surprised to see like that this performance was Oscar worthy.
Like it's obviously not like a bad performance, but I
Yeah,
wouldn't
not at
say
all.
like compared to like a lot of the other performances in the movie, I'd say that like didn't stand out as
Yeah,
much,
there
I
wasn't really
guess.
anything that stood out much about it. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
also nominated for Best Original Song, which like we'll get to the I guess I'll get to like that later because most of the nominees for that were all just songs playing during the end credit scene, and the only one that stuck with me was the one in RRR, which happy that one,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, that's like better than all the other song
Yeah,
nominations,
and it plays
honestly.
like the most integral role in the story probably. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say it deserves it. I don't know. I definitely am not too fresh in my head about it, and this is a film that I definitely need to revisit. I should have revisited it before we did this video, but I think there's like a lot to gain about it. It has, yeah, there's good instances of humor, enjoyable characters, great and creative
Mhm.
depiction of the multiverse with a lot of just creative instances. It's an experience like no other that really like has it all. You know, I'm sure you'll get something out of this movie, and it's something that I can't be more happy that it actually swept the Oscars this year. It's like an
Yeah.
actual Best Picture winner that's gonna be remembered for years. Like who the fuck remembers Green Book? No one, exactly. No
Well,
one
actually,
remembers it except
Matt
me.
Walsh thinks no one will remember this movie. Matt
Oh,
Walsh, he tweeted about that.
yeah, the same guy who
We
made the
gotta
famous
trust his
documentary
judgment.
"What Is a Woman." Yeah, which
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll even mention that as a movie in this video.
I might,
I
but
mean,
we'll
I know
see.
you somehow sat through that, but I didn't. We'll see. We'll see when we get into the worst category. But yeah,
Mhm.
I guess that's all we kind of have to say. I give it a
Yeah.
9. Um,
I would give it a 9 as well. It was very high on my list
Amazing movie.
when I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we might as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I guess we might as well. Despite us already talking about it, I guess we could quickly re-mention Puss in Boots 2.
Oh
Just
yeah.
quickly, like,
We did a whole discussion on
yeah.
that. So
So
if you want
we
like
won't
more
spend much
detailed
time
thoughts,
about this. We got
if you want more detailed thoughts,
yeah.
go check that out. But in the short of it, it's one of the best things DreamWorks has done in
Yeah.
a while.
I honestly
Uh,
think on rewatch, the film was like somehow was like even better. Like I kind of take back the
yeah,
one
I'm pretty sure we
criticism I
both
have of it.
rewatched it after
Yeah,
we
and
recorded the
now
episode.
I
Actually,
originally gave it an 8 in my review, but I have now switched it to a 9. So yeah,
yeah. Oh, me too.
it is
Yeah.
a masterpiece. Amazing animation and great writing, fantastic characters, amazing journey. It's a beautiful movie. It's a miracle, and
Yeah.
I don't know if DreamWorks will ever make like a film that would be quite like Puss in Boots 2. And I'm so
Yeah.
happy that this film has gotten so much recognition by so many people.
Yeah, because like at first, well, thing is, I'm gonna be honest. Like I talked about it on that. It's been so long since we recorded our Puss in Boots episode that I forget if I said that or not. But I remember at the time, at first, I was like, I saw that it was on the letterbox like 250 or something. Everyone was giving it 5 stars, and I was like, people are lying. It's probably like a 7 movie. I don't think it'll be that good. I was just thinking from the outset. But no, like when I watched it, I was like the most pleasantly surprised I've been
Yeah,
at something in
DreamWorks
like a
blew it out of
while.
the park with this film. Like everyone has just
Yeah.
been freaking
See,
out
and people are still
about it.
talking about
Yeah,
it. It's
people
still
freaking
like
out.
one of the biggest things.
Everyone just like complimenting on how like strongly and well written and how like well detailed so many aspects of it are. How it's really funny as well as likable has an it's a blast of a movie.
And it's
I
not
feel
even
I
like everyone talks about the animation, but it's not style over substance either.
no,
Like
if
all the
anything, there's
character
like
writing and everything.
so
That's
much
all
else
great
in
too.
this movie to love. To the characters, writing, action. There's so much to
Yeah.
it that is just
Oh,
really
action
strong.
definitely like moi.
And the climax,
Perfect.
God, such a great movie. Easily the best animated movie of the year. But I think like another thing that
Mhm.
is close mentioning. Let's talk about Del Toro's Pinocchio. Let's talk about that.
Ah, that's
Yeah,
a great movie.
yeah, that's another good one. I'm happy this won Best Animated Feature. Like I said, we both love Puss in Boots 2 more, right? But
Yeah, but I think this is like cool. This is Yeah, Del Toro's Pinocchio is by definitely my second favorite animated film
Yeah,
of
they're
the
both
year.
like the crowning achievement. They're easily the best animated movies of the year.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's like the stop motion is fantastic, and the film has
Oh,
just
yeah,
such
that's
a
incredible.
massive like heart and well told story of like the original Pinocchio. There's like a lot of like great emotional moments. A lot of like great sequences in animation, a nice, well managed tone, and just a fantastic ending that I think works really well.
Yeah, no, I like it because like it's like the same like base like story, but they go on like they take the Pinocchio story in like a really interesting direction with it, with like what like how like I don't know, like some like thematically and like how eventually like everything that happens with like how Pinocchio has to go to like fucking war and shit, and then
Yeah,
like
and like
just
how
all that
people are
stuff. That
trying to
stuff's
like
great,
yeah,
and
it has like
then
a dark like tone to it, and I like, and there's something so pure and overall like innocent about the character of Pinocchio that doesn't make him
yeah,
annoying. And
like
there's,
he's always naive in like all versions of them, but
but
I
he
think
was
he's
just
like.
born, so like you don't blame that at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, and they push that like even more here, like
Yeah.
especially compared to like other versions of them. And it
Uh-huh.
definitely works for like the story and what it's trying to like communicate because of like how Pinocchio relates to Geppetto's actual like son that he lost and that all
Yeah.
that stuff.
I like the Geppetto's like character arc in general of learning to open his heart again. It's like all just
Yeah.
so well done. This is like a massive passion project of Guillermo del Toro, and like and just like you just can't not appreciate the effort he put into
Yeah.
it, and seeing him get recognized, and like he says animation is cinema, and that is true, it is. It's
Yeah.
like a big
Yeah.
like it's like it goes against the
Yeah.
awful animation
It was
speech
nice
from
that he got
last
to
year's
give a big
Oscars.
speech about it. That was great.
Yeah, uh-huh.
I will say, though, not to be like annoying, but part of the reason that this movie probably won Best Animated Feature is because Guillermo del Toro's name is literally in like
Yeah,
the
the
title. They
title.
clearly were like, oh yeah, this guy we gave a lot of Oscars. Maybe we should give
Mhm.
him some recognition for this. I'm not saying this movie didn't deserve it because it definitely did, but the Oscars probably didn't let it win for entirely the right reasons. Because
Mhm.
honestly, if it was like the same movie but Del Toro didn't have his name on it, they could have given it to like Turning Red or something, or even Puss in Boots, which would have been better. But you know what I mean? It's just I feel like they didn't
Uh-huh.
entirely for the
Yeah.
best
I
reasons.
hear like a lot of people criticizing the music of this movie, and I don't know, I
Oh,
don't mind it.
I don't
I
agree. It
actually,
has a nice like
yeah,
vibe to
I
it.
think it has a
Yeah.
nice vibe. The songs, a lot of the songs might not be anything amazing, but I think they're passable. They're passable for what they
No,
are.
they
They
weren't.
like,
None of them were trying to be like big musical numbers.
yeah, I
It's
didn't
like
mind
it's
them. Like
fine for what
they
they
were
do.
sweet, and I think fit the tone well of what was happening with the
Yeah,
conflict. I think some stuff could have
yeah,
been more developed, I guess, like the stuff with like the Candlewick character and his father, and just some of the stuff with World War. But honestly, it's still a great movie, and definitely worth a watch if you're an animation fan.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
happy it won, and overall great movie. And it's nice to see stop motion animation being respected. In general, I think animation was like respected much more this year at the Oscars. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say that.
Also, quick shout outs before we move on to the voice acting. The guy who played Geppetto, I'm blanking on his name right now, but he did like a really good job. But also Ewan McGregor as Jiminy, I think they both were like
Yeah,
really stand out. Just wanted to quickly mention that.
yeah, voice acting is
Shout
also
outs
really
there.
good. Great.
Also, the guy who played Pinocchio too, he did like a good job at capturing his like
Yeah, you see,
childlike
kid
innocence.
acting isn't always terrible. Okay,
Yeah,
they just need to try.
most yeah,
I
or
mean,
like fit. Yeah, but all right, that's all I have to say
yeah,
about that.
uh-huh.
Right.
I guess yeah. What about Top Gun Maverick, which was like one of the biggest like I'd say best picture events of the year.
Okay,
You
thing
know?
is, Top
I
Gun
mean like
Maverick, I did not expect to get a Best Picture nomination at
yeah,
all
same.
because like it seemed like way more of like a general blockbuster type movie. Like they didn't like, which I mean, I guess in retrospect, Black Panther got a fucking Best Picture nom. I guess there could be weirder
Anything could be
choices,
nominated for best picture.
but this is definitely better than I
Don't
haven't
look
seen Black
up.
Panther. But like
Yeah.
from like yeah, it seems like it'd be better.
Uh,
But
Now,
Uh,
go on.
so I was gonna say another thing. Like this movie had like the biggest like theatrical window. Like it was out in like May, but I like think genuinely for like all of 2022 theaters were showing like Top Gun Maverick. That was
Yeah, it was
like
in theaters
really
for a
weird.
long time. I saw it in
Yeah,
theaters once, and I recently rewatched it, and it still holds up
yeah,
well.
yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of the first Top Gun.
Yeah, I think
It's
it's like I can see why people like it. Personally, it just never
it
appealed to
just
me.
like
It's
felt
like
like kind of
it's
low
fine.
energy, and there was not really anything that really grabbed me about it. But I think
I
in
didn't really
this,
get attached to any of the characters
yeah,
that
but I
much.
think
It's like
where this movie, yeah, same. But I think where this
yeah,
movie shines is that like it's a good sequel to the original, but also makes every like plot beats from the first film and takes them and makes them much more engaging. Like,
yeah.
and also the fight scenes in this are just fantastic.
Oh, well,
They're just great. The sound design is awesome. This deserved the best sound. Happy it at least
oh
won one
yeah,
award
shit.
this year. Yeah, it's good. The music is good. The characters and like emotional core is definitely like
Ways
well
that like
done.
it ties back to the original too are really like it
Yeah.
works really well as a legacy sequel because like
Uh-huh.
it's about like it. It's all that's really like done
Yeah,
well
I think
and
there's like
like
a ton of good reactions between like Maverick and like, and Brewster,
yeah.
Yeah, and like how he doesn't want like the same thing that happened to his father to happen with his
Yeah,
kid.
all
So
that
like
stuff's really
he tries his
compelling. I
best
like all
to
that.
avoid it, but like he learns to let go by the end because like he's trying to be the father that he never really had growing up. So that's like a nice little arc that he has to develop over time. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. There's also some like, yeah, there's also some like really emotional nice scenes, like the scene with Val Kilmer. It also feels really weird because like he can't even like talk anymore. Like he has like I think he has like a terrible illness. I don't know too much about it, but I think they made like a documentary about it. But
Uh,
yeah, it's like really sad,
yeah.
and it makes the scene with him like even more emotional. So. But
Yeah.
still, it's like a great movie. I don't even know what to. There's not even much I could really say about it. Do you have much to say? It's just
I can't say I have much to like add as well, but it is like satisfying and like actually some of these might be in the worst segment when we get to our bottom tens. But there are so many like legacy franchise sequels where the
yeah, that are
franchise
just
comes back
like
after decades and it's like worse and like
exactly.
tarnishes the characters and just like shit basically. But
Yeah,
it's nice that like Top Gun at the very least was like treated with like I don't even like the original Top Gun much. Like if they made a shit Top Gun sequel, I'd be sad for the people who actually like Top Gun.
yeah, that would
But
be
like
sad.
they like, but like it's nice that like for this you could tell they got people who like care for the source material. And like we said, like we were like the conflicts is that they were able to like develop on the original in interesting ways. And then,
Mm.
bam, we got like a great movie that everyone likes.
Yeah,
And also, yeah,
yeah, it's
oh,
nice. It's probably like one of the best legacy sequels I've seen because it basically does like it basically makes everything about the first film and like does it and pretty much makes it all better. Like everything is better in this movie from the first film. Great movie.
mhm,
Great. 8 out of 10.
mhm.
Also, I gave Del Toro's Pinocchio 8 out of 10. Since we didn't even
Oh
mention
yeah, I
that.
forgot. I would go eights on both as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh huh. Want to talk about Banshees next? The Banshees of
Oh yeah, sure.
Inishiren.
Banshees.
Yeah.
One of the best actually.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Amazing
Uh,
movie. Not only is it gorgeous from a visual standpoint with
oh yeah,
amazing performance.
cinematography wise, it's like
It's
really,
perfect.
really
I'm
good.
kind of disappointed that Banshees didn't even win anything.
Yeah, it could have got some actor could have got some actor
Maybe
wins, and it
give
would have been
something
appreciated.
away from the. Maybe just like I don't know, just give like I don't know, maybe just give away like this over All Quiet on the Western Front, which won way
We
too
could
many
have got
awards.
some cinematography
I mean,
nominations.
the
Not
cinematography in that
nominated,
movie
wins.
was like I guess it worked, but like I don't know. I feel like that would deserve it
But
more.
Banshees is like way on top of that. That's like
Was Banshees nominated for score because it definitely deserved that over All
I
Quiet.
I am unsure, but if it
Let me
was,
check.
it should
I'm
have.
just gonna check again.
What
Um,
categories was it nominated in actually?
yeah, it
Let
was
me see.
nominated for best original score, and heck yeah, it deserved it
Yeah, it
over
was
All
not okay. Yeah, it
Quiet.
was nominated for best. Yeah, best actor. Wait, a cinematography nomination. What wasn't?
Was it?
Oh, that's weird.
I don't
I'm checking
remember all
here.
the
It says
awards. Jeez.
it should have got a cinematography
Oh, it
not
deserved that as well.
nomination.
Yeah, I like the
Or
part
okay, but it
during
got a
the
best actor nomination.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
anyways, about the actual movie, it's a very genuinely well told and story about moving on from friendships, with one of them not like being able to cope with the loss and struggling to find like purpose and meaning out of people in his life continue to move on, while the other wants to make something of himself before he dies because you know he's also getting kind of old. It's like it's a very genuine and well told story. The performances are great. It's the story itself is just engaging in where it goes, you know? It's just
Yeah,
like this man is so committed to just living out his life that he is literally willing to cut his fingers off and throw it at his house, the main character's house. It's
yeah.
yeah.
Things a lot of it is just like dialogue scenes kind of or like showing how he like can't really like move on from losing his like
Mhm.
friend. Like it's all like really compelling and how like he like throughout the entire thing he struggles to and like eventually like you said it goes too far. He literally cuts off his own finger. And
Yeah.
it's like a
Mhm.
whole
And
thing.
it has a
Yeah.
great ending as well with them just
Oh
like
yeah, yeah.
staring off. It's just like two friends button heads over like compelling and real reasons, all told in such a just genuine and thought provoking way. And it's a great movie. You have to see it. I should rewatch
Yeah.
it. I need to rewatch a
I like
lot
that
of
it,
these movies. Like
oh yeah.
the more I talk about these releases, I need to rewatch a lot of these.
Well, I gotta watch like
I
more
definitely
stuff
need
in
to
general, but
rewatch Everything Everywhere All at Once at some point. So yeah.
yeah. But
Um,
um
yeah, I don't even know if I have much to say about this film either. It's just
uh
generally just such a great movie.
yeah.
It's
The
a,
one note I have to say is that I like at the beginning you're never like they don't really explain like there's not like some dramatic reason why the two of them split apart. They just kind of like it just kind of from the looks of it, it just kind of looks like they are like they've gone like separate ways. At least one of them has. And like it's interesting because that just happens in friendships sometimes. You're like one person like naturally drift apart from the other one. It's like
mhm,
depressing, but like it works for like the story well. Uh, so
uh-huh.
yeah, Banshees, fantastic. Should have won more Oscars, but
Mhm.
oh well.
Yeah. Um, yeah, great.
Oh,
Definitely deserved more credit at the Oscars since it was generally like I like Everything Ever All at Once more, and I think that was the best picture nominee. But I think it's like
I
still
would
like
agree.
a good
Yeah,
second, and definitely
yeah.
deserved credit at the Oscars. I mean, literally, Jimmy Kimmel got the donkey from Banshees of Inishiren to make a cameo in a
Oh
Sheeran to
yeah,
make the
Jimmy
cameo.
Kimmel with his classic Oscar quips.
Classic Will Smith
Great.
slap joke and classic cocaine bear just showing up to the Oscars since
Like
yeah.
that was great.
I wonder how
Classic.
the creators of Cocaine Bear feel that their creation had show up to the 2023 Oscars. I wonder how they feel
Uh,
about that.
I hope they're proud.
Yeah.
I hope they're
Hope
proud.
they're proud of what their creation has become. So yeah, that was that. Should we quickly mention Tar? Because I know we already talked about that with
Hard discussion,
yeah,
but like
famous
we'll talk about
Dumbo hater Xander with a Z. We talked about it.
yeah.
Um,
Before good.
good move, great movie.
Yeah.
King
Again, we'll redirect you to our
Yeah.
video on
I
that
don't
with
know.
one
I
of
think
our
like I
best
summarized
picks.
it well. I honestly think that like that's like a I think it's like it's not as fresh in my mind anymore. It's a very like slow burner, you know. Some people might not be that into it, but I think it's like a really well told and engaging character piece. And I think everything like to the cinematography, to the way the whole film is told through Kate Blanchett's performance, all comes together pretty well. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Throughout the entire thing, you like slowly see like it's like a really good like character study of the titular Lydia Tarr as a character and how like slowly you see how awful she is, how
Yeah.
awfully she like treats people,
Mhm.
and then like a lot of it is just like talking scenes. But I find most of what they're talking about interesting, so it's like it's easy to like grasp onto. You don't even have to like really care because a lot of it just discussing like music and different like
Yeah.
stuff like that. But you don't really have to be like care about like the topic specifically. It's just like invest in conversations, and it's a good character study. Like I said,
Yeah.
great one,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Not everyone may be into it, but I think it worked well. So yeah,
Yeah,
just go to that discussion if you want
yeah,
more detail. So yeah.
yeah.
Um.
Another great one. One of the best of 2022. Uh,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
And she's also got a 9. Honestly, you know what? I was gonna like say ratings at the end of each of these movies, but I feel like I don't know. We'll just link our Letterbox
yeah,
2022 list, so you could just look on Letterbox if you want to see our total ratings. But yeah.
yeah.
Anyways,
Hmm.
want to talk about the Batman? The Batman.
Yeah, sure.
Let's
The Batman is another movie I need to rewatch actually
Yeah,
out of like a
the
lot of years.
Batman I've
But
seen is I'd say it's easily the best superhero movie of 2022, and I
but
haven't
there
seen
is
like
no contest because like
at
everything
least
else I've seen.
theatrically. I mean, the MCU didn't really do good, but like we'll talk about that later
Yeah,
what the MCU was up to. But then again, they did make Morbius. They did make
that's
Morbius,
true. We
but
did they did make Black Adam, but other
there
than
was
that,
Black
yeah,
Adam with DC, but yeah, easily. This was not. I don't think 2022 was that good of a year for superhero movies, but the Batman was easily the best. Performance is
yeah,
fantastic. The score is phenomenal. The cinematography is great. The music usage is good, and I think it has like a really good deconstruction of the character of Batman and like the processing and interpretation of grief throughout the whole movie. I think
yeah.
it's like a well interpretation. Yeah, I this is another one I want to rewatch. It's a really long movie. It's like three. It's nearly 3 hour.
Yeah.
But like, it's still an enjoyable experience. Great action, performances, a lot of standout scenes. Like the scene between Batman and the Riddler was fantastic, and they also
Yeah. Everything with the Riddler in general is like in fantastic. You think concept wise, making like the Riddler this person that like uses like social media and stuff to like cause chaos stuff. You think that would be like really weird and horrible, but like no, the way like Paul Dano's performance and how it's all shown is like
Yeah,
fantastic.
and where it
And like
culminates to during the climax with like the explosions and whatnot, like works well. And I think it's just
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since I watched this as well, so it's not necessarily the freshest in my mind, but it's definitely the best superhero movie of the year. There is no content that unless theatrically, I guess. I don't know if there was like other like direct to
I
DVD
don't
ones that
think
were
there was any
better,
other
but I
superhero
think I'm
movie
safe
this.
with calling this the best one.
Honestly,
So
looking at my 2022 list, I don't think there's any other film from superhero film from the year that like I
um.
actually
Yeah,
enjoy.
true, you're
Right?
right.
But,
Yeah.
but yeah, one quick note, two quick notes about the Batman before we move on. One of them is obviously the runtime. It like goes by like if and the theatrical experience was actually really nice. I got to go with a couple one or two friends. We had a nice time in the theater. It was like it looks really nice. It was the good experience in that sense, and obviously it went by really fast. But also, just on the other end, I appreciate the things. This doesn't even matter now because the Batman is getting a sequel. Like I want
Yeah,
to
I think
say
it's
next
gonna
year.
start filming near the end of this year, I
Yeah,
think. But
yeah.
yeah.
But anyway, so this is like, but at the time at least, it was nice that like we got to have like a nice standalone Batman story that like constructs his character and is able to use like the Riddler, a different like villain,
Yeah.
to like do so instead of having to be tied into this tangled web of DC universe Batman. It's like Ben Affleck and like all that stuff. It was nice we got to have a separate story that was standalone and it was great.
Yeah, nice.
I was really enjoying all that.
Huh? Looking forward to the sequel when that comes out. So yeah. Um, uh, yeah, another great one of this year was definitely Bullet Train in my
Oh
eyes.
yeah, Bullet Train. Thing is, so if you look at my 2022 list, Bullet Train is like number 3, and that is not because
Yikes.
it is the it is not because it is the third best film of 2022. I am confident in saying that, but Bullet Train is one of the most fun times I have had in the movie theater,
Oh, it is,
and
yeah.
I'm like, and for me, because like for me, it was like weirdly satisfying because I like we'll actually talk about it when we get to a lot of like the lower films on this list. A lot of the time, people will be like, they'll like defend it by saying it's a fun movie. Oh, Doctor Strange 2 is a fun movie. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers is a fun movie. Minions Rise of Gru is a fun movie. Like people will say that all the time, and then I watch the movie and I'm like, this is miserable. How do you have fun with? And like that's an inherently subjective quality. But people like defend stuff as being like, it's not. It's a fun movie, and then like they'll defend the writing being terrible and everything else because of that.
Mhm.
But like on the like Bullet Train is just a really really fun and funny movie. All the
Yeah,
actors
it's
are
just a
like,
blast from beginning to end. There's so much
yeah,
like personality and character with everyone. I
yeah.
remember
People
like
have like compared it to like Edgar Wright movies, kind of. And I can kind of see that with
it
like
kind of has
some of
that
the
nice tone to
like,
it. And I
yeah,
honestly think it would fit right at home with his other ones. It may not be good
yeah,
as like some of the other ones I've seen, but like still, it's a great movie. Make
yeah.
great action and just great characters, you know? Every character
Yeah,
has
okay, I
like
love
such
that like they
fun.
could have made Brad Pitt like just the cool like badass type because it's Brad Pitt. That's like easy. But no, his whole thing is that he's like bumbling around. He has no idea what he's doing, and he's just on this like train fiddling around with people. It's really really funny. And then like
Yeah.
and all the other actors have like do great too. I forget their names. The two people like
Lemon and
Lemon and the other guy.
Tangerine. I love those
Yeah,
characters.
them, like
They're
the Thomas, they
Thomas
talk about
gang,
like
yeah.
Thomas and stuff. Like
I don't
that
know.
stuff's really
Like on
funny.
one hand, like them adding an emotional core to it, it's like it's both funny and kind of like emotional in like some sort of weird way. I don't know. It's just like it's funny. It's just funny. Just a blast of a
Yeah,
movie with enjoyable characters. It's pretty much everything you could want in this type of comedy action movie. There's like a lot of like
yeah,
different characters and plots that all have like some sort of motive in some way, and like there's depth
yeah.
to them. I guess certain things like I don't know. I feel like certain things like the near the climax could have been built up better, but honestly, it's a blast. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily as of now in my top 10 of 2022, but it's still one of the like
It's
it
in
still
mine.
deserves to be in this best column, and it's a blast of a movie. I
Yeah.
love it.
So like, yeah, I think another thing like what makes the movie like funnier to me is like it actually like it's not like just generic studio lighting. It has like a sort of style to it that like makes it more like it makes it funnier because it's like it just doesn't look like a comedy movie. You could like look at it as like an actual like action movie because just dumb shit's happening and they're talking about like Thomas and stuff like that. It, like kind of works as an action movie too. Like the end climax, if I need a hero and everything, that's like a great scene. Like
Oh
unironically, and
yeah,
then
the
like
climax is fun. Some cheesy green
yeah,
screen for sure, but it's still a blast. It's still great
yeah,
to watch
that
unfold.
scene was epic.
Yeah, it was
Great
pretty
scene,
epic.
and also it just ends really like funnily. I love like she just like it's literally the Brian Griffin thing. Brian, look out!
Oh
That
yeah, it
happens.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
Joey King
Brian,
gets
look out.
run over Brian Griffin style.
Yeah, and then like the whole thing just ends so casually after everything. It's great.
Yeah, with
One of
like the
my
entire city destroyed as like two characters just walk away from the crime. It's pretty funny.
yeah,
Great movie. I've seen it twice
yeah,
now, and I wouldn't mind checking it out again.
very happy I checked this one out in the cinemas. Would love to rewatch this one sometime.
Yeah, it's
Bullet
a
Train,
oh,
fantastic
great
experience.
one of the best like film experiences of the year for me. Great.
Mwah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess these are just films I have seen, so I'm just gonna like, I guess I'll just quickly mention them. I want to start with The
Oh,
Whale. The Whale,
all
I
right.
won't, I don't want to spoil it for you, So I'm not gonna. I'm referring to you, Brian. I'm not. I don't want to
Yeah.
spoil it for you, so I won't say too much. But it's a great movie. It's great. Brendan Fraser definitely deserved the Oscar win. There's so much like passion and heart with the whole thing, and the emotional core is just so genuine and just well built up. It's like just gives you a massive emotional gut punch, and everything like culminates together in this like isolated feeling that greatly complements the film's tone, I guess. And there are some moments that felt a bit off within the context, but the whole film has such like a well built up emotional core with just a beautiful and like sad tale about the obesity and sadness. And Brendan Fraser really embodies his character. I mean, I haven't seen him in too many movies besides stuff like Journey to the Center of the Earth and Looney Tunes Back in
Not
Action.
good. Classic.
But this is
That's great.
probably, out of
Yeah.
all the movies I've seen, this is at least probably his best performance. And it's much better than his performance in Monkey Bone.
Well, the thing
His
is,
thing in
Brendan
Monkey
Fraser,
Bone.
like, if you watch his older movies, I haven't seen the well, but just quickly cut. Like, I've seen, like, in a handful, actually, I've seen Looney Tunes Back in Action, and, well, oh yeah, Monkey Bone and his iconic
Yeah.
role in
His
The Mummy
iconic role in Monkey
1999.
Bone,
The
yes.
thing is, you can watch those movies. Like, in Looney Tunes Back in Action, Brendan Fraser, unironically, like, does well for what the movie's stupid, and he's like able to sell like
Yeah, I
his
guess
role
so,
in that
yeah. He
well.
was good. He
So like
was
he's
funny.
always been a good actor. They just never cast him in like a dramatic
Yeah, this
role,
was
so
like
he
probably
can't
one
do
of his. I think
dramatic
this might
acting.
just be one of his like most dramatic roles in like a movie, and I think it's like well
Yeah,
displayed here. Anyways,
I
great.
hope this launches further his career, so he like
Yeah,
actually like
uh-huh.
gets to do more good stuff like this.
Uh-huh.
He deserves it, Brendan
Yeah, I've heard he's
Fraser.
been having like a hard time lately. I don't know too much about it, but I heard that somewhere. So yeah, great movie. Check it out. It works well. And it deserved I'd say it deserved the makeup and the best actor win for Brendan Fraser. Happy you got some recognition and wins at the Oscars this year. Great movie. Highly recommend it. I ended up seeing it in theaters actually, so
Oh,
that was an
nice.
interesting experience. So yeah, check out The Whale. Very sad movie. You might not be ready for it, but I personally loved it. Um, yeah, there was also The Fabelmans, which I saw. A great movie with a ton of heart and emotional like core, and it's just a story that like you really connect to with how simple and like I know I use the word a lot, but real slash genuine. I've been using that word a lot, but just how to describe these type of arts and move this type of thing in this movie. That's how I just describe it. All right. Yeah,
Mhm.
Steven Spielberg is definitely improving from the misstep that was Ready Player One in 2018. So I'm glad he's starting to make
Oh
these
God.
emotional, resonating movies again with the Fablemans, and I hope to see more films like this. It's a ton of heart, and I definitely had fun with it, and I would check it out again. So
All
yeah,
right.
don't have much to say about that either.
Nice, nice. Uh,
I guess maybe should we mention one more in the best column? I
uh,
mean, like
I
those
was
are
looking
like the
through.
main ones. Where
I
those
think
are
we've covered all the films I would give in 8 and
yeah,
above
eight and
looking at
above.
this.
Yeah,
Except for RRR, but that's like we
oh
have a
yeah,
whole episode on
RRR.
it. We could.
We should yeah, we gotta
Actually, if
mention
we're gonna end
RRR.
the best call, we should end it with
Yeah,
our. This is
exactly.
both of our number
I
ones,
almost
right?
forgot about mentioning that.
Okay.
We talked about it in one of our first episodes of this podcast. Um, yeah, great movie. Easily my favorite of the year. Still my favorite film of
Yeah,
the year.
it is
Um,
like I adore that more than like anything of last year,
Amazing
basically.
characters, like action. It's everything I think I could want in a
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, like quite literally, it is everything I
Yeah,
want in
well
a
built up
film.
emotional core, beautifully shot, fun as hell moments, and just hell moments like that dance scene. And I am so happy that Natu Natu won
Oh,
Best
that it won
Original
best
Song.
song. I'm
I
proud of
love
that.
that. That was so good. I would
It
rewatch it again,
personally,
but it's a pretty
yeah.
long. But still, I would
I've been
definitely want to
wanting at the
revisit at
time. I
some point.
definitely will watch it again.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, at some point. But yeah,
yeah,
amazing movie. I highly recommend it if you still haven't seen it. It's a blast. If you want a more in-depth
yeah,
discussion, then scroll down the channel into episode 2, and you'll
yeah.
find our in-depth discussion on
Yeah, we
RRR.
talked about Drake and Josh in that episode, so very
Yeah,
similar
very
films
both movies
actually.
about iconic duos
Exactly.
So yeah,
Yeah.
those
But
were like
anyway.
our personal great movies. There
Yeah.
were other somewhat good
Yeah.
movies that we may talk more about in the other movie column. But these are our
Mhm.
personal favorites and films
Yeah.
that I think are worth mentioning in this column.
Yeah. Hold
These are
on.
the best of
Yeah.
the year in my eyes.
Also, hold on. Two things more about RRR before we move on. It should have got Best Picture. I wasn't expecting it to, but if it were me, it definitely should have.
Yeah,
And two, YMS 3 out of 10 might be his worst take ever.
I guess you
That's
saw
it.
that.
Yeah.
Oh
Uh,
well. Anyways, let's move on to the worst column. We spent a lot of
oh,
time on the
okay.
best column, but let's get into the worst. The worst of
All
the
right.
movies this year. We covered the best movies. Now we're getting into the worst ones. The ones that suck. The ones that I would not recommend to people who like movies.
Mhm. Yeah.
Where should we start?
So to
God,
be honest, 2022 was very like there was a lot of garbage this year. I'm going
there
to
were a fair
be
share of
right.
highs like RRR, Puss in Boots 2, Everything Ever All at Once. Those were great. But that for all of those amazing movies, we got a lot of shit. A lot of bad movies. How about we start off with no I don't even know where to start with this column. But you
Mhm.
know what? Let's start off. I think it's appropriate we start off with the film that took the internet by storm in 2022, and it's not and that is Minions: The Rise of Gru.
Okay.
Okay, where do we start with this
So
piece of shit?
Minions 2. So first of all, I the one thing I have always hated about this movie, even before the beginning, is the gentle minion memes are literally just the Morbius memes, but worse.
I
They
think it's
suck.
like the
I hate
Morbius
them.
memes were funny. They were funny.
The Morbius. Okay, thing is,
It's
the
because
Morbius
no
meme
one
was
gave
funny
a shit
because
about Morbius. No one
no one cares
actually
about it.
cared about
Like,
it. It was a joke.
yeah,
Everyone was making fun of it. No one was actually going to see it. And for some reason this made Sony think that it would be appropriate to re-release the movie and it would actually do well because of the memes. And it made like
yeah, that's like hilarious
that
that
is
they like
hilarious.
thought
It's
they
such an
thought it would like
overly
actually
edgy
work.
embarrassment of a movie that it was funny that people were making fun of it. But I feel like
Yeah.
Minions 2, when I actually ended up watching it, it wasn't even funny because I don't like Illumination. Okay, I don't like it.
I
Okay,
hate
I I,
Illumination.
I don't like. I don't think we need to explain for the tenth like the. I don't think we need to explain why we don't like Illumination. And while
Yeah.
like I don't know, it's like it's just more of the same. It's just like similar to Minions. It's like it's
We'll
just
say it is better than the first Minions. That's a very
that is
low
a
bar to
very
cross,
low
but it
bar,
is.
though. There's Minion.
Yeah.
The original Minions is probably one of the worst animated movies. But like,
You
I
know,
think what was
true.
annoying, it's just like I don't know. It was like the Minion craze in 2015 when I saw Minions everywhere during the summertime when this film released, and like I guess that's why the film ended up doing so well. And it was just like it was also kind of boring, if anything. Every time there's
Yeah.
actual minion antics, it just comes off as really lame. Like they think, hey, let's put the minions in a kung fu dojo and plane and get the most basic, lame, and
Thing,
annoying kitty jokes we can get out of it.
things I
But let's make
appreciated
money.
this one was way more Gru focused, which makes it a little more tolerable than Minions one. Because like I don't
Yeah,
like
I
Gru
guess
either.
so.
He's kind of annoying, but he like has more to him. He's like an
I
actual
liked Gru in
character.
like the first
Unlike
Despicable Me
unlike the
movie.
minions who are like interchangeable, you can like put any minion in any scenario, and it's like it's
Yeah,
fine.
but
It's
even the
okay.
Gru stuff feels pretty underdeveloped and shallow. It's like he meets this other villain of his idol, and then he tries to form a bond with him, but there isn't
Yeah.
really anything that is properly like built up upon that. And yeah, also this film kind of has like 2010s type nostalgia, and you know what? I'm
And
nostalgic
yeah,
for
no,
the
it's
original
weird
Despicable Me
because
movie, but like
yeah,
it
which is
feels like they're now
weird.
trying to profit off of the Despicable Me nostalgia, despite the film releasing like around 13 years ago.
Yeah, they nostalgia bait like the fucking freeze ray gun, the
Yeah.
bank from this. Like, what
Also,
are these
that's how Gru
nostalgia bait
entered the bank.
choices? I don't.
Yeah.
Like,
The minions
so
are
weird.
annoying as per usual. There's this annoying minion who the other minions are annoyed by, who has this annoying subplot. Everything that is minions in this movie are boring and unfunny. And the stuff with
I will
Gru, while
like.
not terrible, is still really boring and that's nothing
I mean,
interesting
I
to
am
the
like
movie.
frustrated by like basically every like minion thing because frankly, I just don't find them entertaining characters at
Yeah.
all.
This film has
They're
such a
like,
high rating on Letterboxd as well, because a lot of
yeah,
people
I
give
know
this
this is
the
what
ironic
I was talking
five
about fun
star.
earlier. People are like, it's fun, and I'm
I
like,
understand on
no,
paper that, like, it may be, like, fun on paper to, like, wear suits and go see it, but, like, it just, like, I think it's, like, how, like, overexposed it did. The whole thing just got kind of old quickly, and, like,
okay,
I feel
I
like
will
the
say it
way,
was
like,
funny
some,
when
it was
yeah,
just, yeah, go on.
I will say it was funny that people actually had to like they had to put up warning signs to
Yeah, that
not
was
wear
kind of fun.
suits to
That
Minions
was,
2.
like,
That
that
was
was
funny to me because of how like morbid it got that like it got to that point.
Yeah, it
But
got like a bit
it
like,
was like
well, like I thought it was weird how some people were like friggin' throwing bananas in the theater over seeing the
yeah,
movie.
okay, if you do that, you're just an asshole. Like if you wear a suit, that's one thing. But if you're like doing that, you're just ruining it for other
Yeah, it's just
people
like
who are like
it's just a weird trend that I just don't support it like Morbius, because the movie itself is just like it's not funny, you know?
yeah,
Like, I don't know, whatever. If it was something
yeah.
done with a different movie, maybe I would like it more. Call me biased, but still. I don't know. The next Illumination movie, the Mario movie, is looking to be a whatever movie, and it at least looks more visually unique and like colorful and nice looking than any other Illumination movie. But I still don't really expect it to be all that good from a story standpoint. But like I said, we've talked enough about the Mario movie pre-release, so you'll see our actual thoughts when it releases. So yeah,
Yeah. Uh,
in like 2 weeks from
and
now. So yeah,
oh yeah.
so it's
Uh-huh.
coming out pretty soon. So yeah, that's Minions: Rise of Gru. We could say more,
I
but
have
it's
a
generally just
I have a
fun.
like one or two more notes. I think this will just be brief, but
All right.
so the main thing that really like annoys me about like both of these movies is so one, this is actually a problem with Minions one too. So this is with both, but I find it really annoying that like the Minions the whole thing is that they're like these are villain movies. Ooh, they're like bad guys in this, and like that's like
Huh.
a whole thing. It's like, but then both Minions movies are about them having to fight other villains. And it's like, okay, then it's not a villain movie. Like, why can't you just have one where like the antagonists just are antagonists and aren't like fighting other antagonists? I find that really lame. At least that's how they market the movies, is like
Hmm.
villain movies, and it's not even there's like a point to it like the original Despicable Me's or like Megamind or something. I find that lame personally, and also just yeah, you've kind of covered it all. The whole thing's just nonsense and like anti-entertaining. So yeah, Minions 2 sucks. I hate it. It's in my bottom 5 for the year.
Uh,
I hate it. So
it's in my bottom 10. It's like, yeah, I think I hate it more than like other people do. It's just so such a
yeah, I
soulless,
like
annoying
despise this stuff.
experience, and I just don't understand why people still defend these Minion movies. But whatever, I'm just gonna keep making money. Can't wait for Minions 3. Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that. Can't
Oh,
wait for
Despicable
that to
Me
come
4.
out.
Don't forget. Don't forget.
Yeah, can't wait for that. Yeah. All right, I fixed it. One sec. It just had a mic problem for a second. All right.
Yeah.
Anyways, next part. Next, how about we talk about Jurassic World Dominion? Let's talk about that.
Ah,
What
okay.
a, well, this is
Jurassic World Dominion
seriously. I'm just. Oh
is
yeah, Dominion. That was
yeah.
unintentional.
Uh,
No joke. I'm not exaggerating. This might be one of the most boring movies I have ever watched. It is so fucking boring. I am. It is so lame and low energy. And the biggest issue, it doesn't even focus on dinosaurs. Like, that's the bare minimum you could do with a Jurassic World movie. Like,
yeah.
uh,
So, thing is, okay. So Fallen Kingdom is also awful. It's terrible.
yeah, it's a
Like
lame.
genuinely a disaster
It's a
of a
very
movie.
lame and
Yeah.
just dumb movie with poor
Yeah.
twists and stuff like
But
that.
I will say, like the movie at least ends on like a stupid note that you think would be continued
It
in
could be
Dominion. The
cool.
whole
It could
thing.
be cool.
The thing is
Dinosaurs
like,
like
oh,
warming the
dinosaurs
earth.
are just they freed the dinosaurs, which is stupid. It's a terrible ending. But you think, oh, maybe there'll be something done with that. But then there's nothing done with that. It's just like, oh,
Yeah, I know.
okay,
This film was like a freaking slog to get through, and I feel bad for anyone who actually saw it in theaters. Like,
yeah.
I did see it, thank God. But like, yeah, like at least at the end of the other movie, like the concept, like also dinosaurs being all over the world. I saw the second Jurassic Fallen Kingdom before this one, but at the end there weren't even that many dinosaurs that released from the cage. So how were they able to populate and somehow spread all over the world? And also, why
Yeah.
doesn't the movie do anything with that idea and thinks it's appropriate? They think it's appropriate just to focus on locusts and continue to build upon that lame and out of
And
nowhere
the thing is, the
plot twist
locust
from
thing
the
isn't even
second
funny in
movie.
a dumb way. The whole thing is just
It's just
uninteresting.
a very lame excuse to bring back the main two characters from the first movie, from Jurassic Park. Which, yeah, there are so many boring dinosaur movies in Hollywood, I swear. Like, I saw another one recently called 65, and it was with Adam Driver, and it was so boring. Like, how do they make dinosaurs this boring and dull? Like,
Dinosaurs seem
dinosaurs
like
can
a
be
slam
cool.
dunk for being
Yeah,
interesting,
the
but
original Jurassic Park
yeah,
is a great movie. But
yeah.
like this was just like it's so boring. There's nothing to it. I don't even remember what happened. It's such a draining and snoozing. It is so soulless. There is no substance here. Next to no substance.
Yeah, and also they bring back the characters from Jurassic Park one for nostalgia bait.
Yeah, just
That
for the
sucks
excuse
too.
of nostalgia, allow them to just be crammed into a subplot that has nothing to do with dinosaurs for some reason. It is so
Yeah,
lame. It is just this film is so boring. And then at the end they start to think humans and dinosaurs learn to coexist. Even though nothing in the movie has had warrant that ending because dinosaurs have done nothing. They're basically just obstacles. They barely contribute to the plot in any way. Like how do you make a movie about dinosaurs now taking over the world and becoming a part of the food chain and you make it this dull and uninteresting? Like they had to try and make this film boring to make it this lame. Like God, I hate this movie so much. It was generally somehow worse than I thought it was gonna be. Like damn,
yeah. Terrible film.
yeah,
Jurassic
awful.
World Dominion.
Screw
Not
this
a
movie.
fan.
Let's just move on to the next one. I guess we
Mhm.
can. I guess you want to quickly bring up Pinocchio again. The 20,
Oh yeah,
not the
we
Pauly
also did an
Shore
episode.
Pinocchio, not the Del Toro Pinocchio, but the Disney remake one that we talked
Pinocchio
about in
true
our
story
very
got a
first episode.
2021
I
release,
mean, it might be, but
so it
like one
won't
of the
even be
dubs
here.
was released in
Well,
2022.
the funny dub that people watched, I guess that was this year. But
Father, when
anyway,
can I leave to be on my own? I still
yeah,
need to see that movie.
yeah,
But this
it's
is
not
just
funny.
like,
But anyway,
yeah, it's a terrible
but
remake that completely misunderstands every element of the first film with terrible visual effects, mostly bad acting, and it's just a mess of a story, bad pacing, bad writing, bad visual effects. I don't know. We talked about pretty much everything that we
yeah,
needed
I'm
to in
like,
the
this
original in
is
our very
the
first
Pinocchio
episode of the video.
2022 is one of the most like maddening things of the previous year, and I think we went into like good depth on it
Yeah,
in our
yeah.
episode.
It was in
I'm
our
proud
first
of this
episode
thing
as well,
actually.
so like, yeah,
Yeah, and it's
I
like
guess
just
we'll have to
oh yeah,
remember that movie for that
yeah, we're
sake.
always gonna remember Pinocchio
All right.
2022 for that.
Well, I guess we
But
might as well get this next discussion over with. Let's talk about Chip and
yeah.
Dale Rescue Rangers.
Oh boy,
Shall oh
this
boy.
is
This film is fucking
okay.
baffling. I don't understand how how so many people have defended this movie and say it's quote unquote creative when its core concept at best is just copying Who Framed Roger Rabbit
Okay,
without any
and
of the enjoyable characters
thing
and
is,
fun
okay.
humor and
So
animation.
Roger Rabbit is a fun and great movie
I don't even
because,
like
like,
consider the original Roger Rabbit like a masterpiece like some other people do. Though that might just mean I need to rewatch it at some point. But it's like an actually well done movie that I can understand why so many people love. It's just like,
okay, but like
but
the thing,
this. Go on, go on.
Right. So I was saying, so the original Roger Rabbit, right? The thing about that movie is, and on top of it just being a huge technical achievement, like at that time, all like the effects they had to do, the blend animation and live action, that was like really
Yeah.
impressive for the time. The thing is, even if you ignore all that, and also Roger Rabbit is a better looking movie, the animation in that is timeless, and this is like dog shit. But the thing about Roger Rabbit, right, is that movie has its own like self-contained story. You don't have to have any investment in any of the other cartoon characters in Rescue Rangers, not Rescue Rangers, in Roger Rabbit to actually like enjoy it. Like, there are things that are cool, like the iconic Donald and Daffy piano scene, and Mickey and Bugs like there's stuff like
They're
that.
very
Like characters
small
are
as
there.
well, and they don't really
And
do.
they're brief. That's not the point
They're
of the movie. The
brief,
whole thing is
and
like
it doesn't
Roger
feel like
Rabbit
they're just
pulling.
like. That's not all the movie is, unlike Rescue Rangers, which is just so obnoxious and hypocritical with what it's trying to say. Let's start with the visuals. The visuals in this thing are awful. The CG is usual CG, and the 2D, the quote-unquote 2D animation, which is
It's
just
not, that's what
CG.
pisses me off. They try to act off as if it's 2D, but it's 3D shaded in a specific style, and like it's weird because like a couple of the characters I think look fine. Like there's like I remember specifically there are like Simpsons characters in the background and like Randy from South
Oh
Park.
yeah, I forgot
Their
Randy from
character.
South Park was in a scene in the
Randy.
movie. You just
Yeah, there's
remembered me.
like some of them, like some of the backgrounds, they look like fine. They're like shaded okay, but then like you look at was it Chip or Dale? That's the
It was
CG one.
Dale. I
I
think
forget.
Dale was the CG abomination.
Okay, yeah. So you look at Dale, and Dale's like no joke. It looks like VTuber animation.
It
I'm not
does.
even joking.
Yeah, it does. Same
It's
with
like
like and the 2D itself. It or is just CG, but with awful looking cell shade, which just has very out off and lame movements. Like honestly, just do 2D. Like just do that. Like I can't with a film like this, I
yeah,
expect it to at least complement the mixes of animation, but they don't even do that. That's how corporately bankrupt this whole movie is. Even the frickin' Muppet in one scene is just
that's
CG.
you could have just made a puppet, but
I
you
think they
didn't
did
because
that because they think, oh, CG, everything needs to be CG. CG
the thing
models
is,
are
it's
easier
not.
to
It's like
get that
the
way.
thing is with other stuff, they're like, oh, CG is easier to use, but like it is not hard to take a puppet and pull it out.
Yeah,
Like
I
that's
know. Like people, I hear
so
people calling
easy.
this a love letter to Disney, but there's just nothing like it's saying about it. It just they're referencing things. There's no jokes in it. It's just like saying like it's just also the frickin' I don't care if I'm spoiling this movie, okay? Who
And I don't
cares?
think
Who
anyone
cares?
cares
The
about
twist villain
spoilers and
being the
stuff.
J.K. Simmons cop. They point out how predictable it is, but like you're doing it anyway, so what's the joke? Is this what people to this day still think what's being self-aware? Like I hate when these movies do that. There's also like the rap number with Dale
Oh, I
when he
hate that.
starts like when he says, "Oh, we're really gonna make us rap in like those cliche movies," and then they continue to do it anyway. How does that justify it, huh?
Yeah, no, it's literally just pointing out, oh, that's dumb, and you do it anyway. And it's not even like a subversion. It just they rap and they dance, and
Yeah,
it's like
yeah. What's
so
the joke? What's
annoying.
the joke there? It's
And you want to know?
stupid.
Okay, so the thing that pisses me off, another thing about this movie is like, okay, weird comparison actually, but so the original okay, so you know the DuckTales reboot that came out like a couple of years ago. They have like an episode. This is gonna tie back to Chip and Dale, I promise. But they have an episode where like they talk about the original Darkwing Duck show, and they'll reference like specific episodes and episode numbers. And like every time they do, it's like it's accurate to the original show. They like actually researched it to make sure it's like exact with that. But in Chip and Dale, no joke, it's supposedly a love letter to the Rescue Rangers show, but they get years of episodes wrong and like episode numbers, and they just say episodes that don't even exist in the original Chip and Dale show instead of just like like actually like looking up episodes that exist. How can you call it a love letter if you get like when the show came out like wrong? It just doesn't make sense at all. That frustrates me personally.
Mm.
So they actually could research that, but they don't. And like there's just such a lack of care for any of the properties they reference and everything. It's so
Yeah.
annoying.
Yeah, also like
Yeah.
the stop motion J.K. Simmons cop. Like they didn't even put effort into actual stop motion. They also just do CG. And it's just like the film, if you strip the references, there's no substance. It's just a generic and very lame story about two friends getting back together to solve a mystery. And the only thing this film does to stick out is to add random references. And for some reason, this has been getting to work on people.
The
For some
thing is, it's
reason,
not even like it's barely like it's barely anything like the original cartoon apparently, which I would like. I don't care about the original Chip and Dale show because I didn't watch it. But like for people who do care, that'd be frustrating since like it's something they're clearly like passionate about and like it's not even like none of the characters from the original cartoon are there like out of it the entire time. So that's
yeah.
like annoying for fans, I'm sure. But
No, it's
yeah,
just yeah. Also, certain jokes like the freaking ugly Sonic joke, it
that is one of the
was
most
so
frustrating.
annoying. If it was like a small background gag, like blink and you miss it, I could that is passable. That might be a nice little detail. But like they freaking shove it in so hard to the point when I realize, am I supposed to find this funny? Am I supposed to
Also, it's
find this?
incredibly condescending because, like, one, they'll make fun of the design for looking creepy, which, no, you're just like, the Sonic movie people like actually fixed it. They learned from their
They learned
mistakes.
their
Unlike
mistakes,
Disney,
and yet
who
you're just
makes
like
creepy
bringing
ass
up.
designs to this day in their live action remakes that have come out after this movie. It's like that's frustrating. I'm like,
It's just like annoying, honestly. The whole thing. We could
just
probably
an
the
obnoxious movie.
even the voice acting is not very is good. Like Andy Samberg and John Mulaney don't emote at all as their characters. They
And it's because
show barely
they're
any
like
expression. They
funny
have like
people
the
in other
same
stuff.
attitude throughout the entire movie.
Like famously, like
Dale is always
I don't
acting
like,
cheerily, and Chip always acts
and
condescending. It gets
it's because
really
they're like good in
old.
other stuff. Andy Sandberg is a funny guy in other stuff, and John Mulaney, famously, he's great as Jack Horner
Yeah,
and
he's
Puss in
great
Boots
as Jack
too.
Horner in that
Yeah,
movie.
he clearly can do voice acting very well, but he just
Felt
like
like they were
isn't
phoning it
able
in
to do
because
anything
they
in
just
this.
read the script and realized I don't need to try in this movie.
Yeah,
It's such a lame movie. I don't understand why people defend it. It has a 3.3 on Letterbox. Why? Why would you guys see in this movie? Okay, I
maybe
try
they
my
really
best to
like.
accept other
Maybe
people's
they really like
opinions, but like,
the Bob cameo uh, from Monsters versus Aliens.
oh my god, I forgot the freaking Seth Rogen thing. Get it? Because all the characters are played by Seth
And
Rogen.
also when
It's
Seth
so
Rogen
the Seth
talks about
Rogen thing.
how his
That's
character has dead eyes, even though that's what like all
every
Disney live
character.
action remakes have.
Yeah, if anything,
So
almost most characters in this movie have pretty dead eyes, if I do say so myself.
yeah.
The CG is very bland. They also got stuff like Pickle Rick in the background. Oh boy, Pickle Rick.
Oh, see, that's another thing. It would be one thing if it was just all Disney stuff, but no, it's like every property I care about is in this movie, and it sucks. Like Randy's here. I was
Frickin'
personally
Randy from
insulted by
South Park.
Randy.
Randy from
Randy.
South Park. I
And
don't know
like
why is he in this
Transformers are there
movie?
randomly.
The film Cats. They
MLP.
reference the film Cats for some reason. Why do
Don't
they
forget the
reference this
MLP
stuff?
cameo.
Oh god, the
But
MLP cameo. There's like
to be
so
fair, I think
many
that
dumb
looked better.
cameos.
In the trailer, it looked worse than it did in the final movie,
The
so that was
Simpsons
something.
cameo, like they make these
Oh, The Simpsons,
crappy
I was personally offended by the
Simpsons
Simpsons.
animation. They make these crappy or well, it's just dumb. I generally hate this
I
movie.
would
I
have
don't understand why
appreciated
people defend it. It's
not even a
easily
Clay Puppington cameo.
yeah, not
They
even
were
a
gonna do that.
Laurel cameo. Like come on, not even. I would have been come on. All right, I think we've talked
Yeah,
along. We could talk much more about this movie, but we
also,
have more movies to
I could,
go.
but
So
just to keep it brief, one more thing. The whole thing with Peter Pan is disgusting,
oh yeah, I
and
forgot
like
to mention
the
that.
thing. Okay, thing is, here's the thing: if they weren't aware, they're negligent for not being aware of like how awful this looks, and if they do know, that's even worse. So like, it's just disgusting
Yeah, but
either
like
way, and
it's
I
a
hate
weird
that.
coincidence to the point when if it was intentional, that would just be a huge dick move from Disney. That would be just
Yeah.
awful. pretty messed up.
Yeah.
So yeah, awful movie. Why do you all defend it? I will never
You
understand.
can't hurt my feelings if I'm in on the joke.
Uh,
Final thing.
Fuck that movie. Let's move on. How about we move on to another controversial take? Kind of. I don't know.
Sort of.
Scream 5? Spy
Okay.
Cream?
All right.
Whatever.
Scream 5 is one of the. Actually, we didn't talk. Well, we kind of talked about it on Chip and Dale, the famous meta commentary.
Yeah,
And Scream
I'm not
5.
saying meta commentary can never work. But, like, no joke, in
It
terms
works
of
in Scream 1,
attitude.
actually. If
Yeah,
we're, like, going down that road.
yeah, as long as, like, they show, like, I don't know, as long as there's, like, a joke under it, it's not, like, just commentating and making fun of their audience like this movie does. Like, make it, like, they make fun of they defend stuff like the Jurassic World sequels and shit like that, saying that, like, people who made those movies just are whiny little fans who can't accept change and have to stop complaining. They also bring up stuff like freaking Ryan Johnson, and it's just like,
oh yeah,
this
the
is
famous
just
stab
annoying.
8 thing.
Yeah, the
Where
freaking, like, yeah, look on Reddit and 4chan and for stab 8 or whatever ruined my childhood. It's like, it's so annoying. And there's just, like, no joke here. And the fact that the villains of this movie are basically toxic fans themselves just come out of such annoying and, like, lame. And if you remove the Reddit commentary, which is easily the most obnoxious thing about it, and the film is entirely basically dependent on it, the film is just lame. The characters are all planks of wood and have nothing of development other than being related to the characters from the other Scream movies. Like, and then, like, even some of, like, the deaths are lame. Like, one of the characters literally dies over a stupid phone call convenience. Like, there are moments like that are just, like, so annoying and dumb. And, like, the tension is poorly built up as well when they just, like, tease you with it. Like, there was this one scene in the movie when one of the kids just walks around in his house and just, like, you just wait for the thing and they just, like, it just loses its tension. It's so lame. Acting ain't that good either. It's just like, I don't know. The new Scream 6 movie also has this issue, but I don't know.
To be fair, I think Scream 6 is more stupid than 5, but I think it is less insulting personally.
People love these other movies. Some people love them, and I don't understand why. Like, the characters are either annoying or bland, and just straight up kind of unlikable.
Okay, my problem with the Scream movies, that's Scream 1, and I guess Scream 2 too, I kind of like that movie, memes aside. But if we're talking like 5 and 6, the main problem with the Scream movies to me is they always come across as so condescending. Like when they talk about,
especially with this movie.
Yeah, Scream 5 is the peak of that, where they'll, like, talk about, oh, man, these whiny stab fans who complain about movies they shouldn't be complaining about, like Terminator Dark Fate and Black Christmas 2019. Like, they especially are like, oh, you shouldn't criticize the Terminator sequel.
I don't even think that's a joke. Is that supposed to be funny? They don't
even say that as, like, a joke. They, like, it's not even that self-aware. They're trying to criticize people who do criticize that stuff. It's like the worst thing ever made. And like some people are like, oh, they're just criticizing the extreme fans. And like maybe that's true, but if they are, then like what does that prove? If you're just criticizing the extreme fans, what does that that doesn't mean anything. Like, toxic people are toxic. Okay, well, what's your point? That doesn't mean anything. Like, there's nothing to add to that.
That's true. It's just so lame. I generally just couldn't stand this movie. It's just bad. Don't watch.
It's just frustrating. I hate it.
I hate these type of movies. I don't know. These Scream movies have just become so independent on being this condescending and lame towards their audiences, and they do nothing interesting with the premise anymore. Like, even the new Scream movie, they do nothing with the premise of them being in New York now. They do barely anything, despite the tagline on Letterboxd being New York, New Rules. And even Scream 6 continues this commentary. They literally bring up the term letterbox and call people who use that freaking antisocial letterbox nerds. I don't know if they refer to
Which, to
just
be
like
fair,
that,
like
but
that stuff's annoying, but at least it definitely isn't Scream 5 level. At
yeah, I
least
think
to
this one
almost.
is slightly worse
They
than
had
the
to
new one.
focus on the Stab Museum
Yeah,
and Psycho 2 being underrated.
yeah.
Like all that
I don't know.
instead.
I don't know if we'll like ever talk about Scream 6 like full on later, but I don't know. Maybe in the
The whole point
2023
is,
movie video next year, but we'll
oh yeah,
see.
maybe. But
We'll
anyway,
see.
Scream 6 is also terrible, but not as annoying as Scream 5.
Yeah.
That's the main thing you need to know.
It's a slight improvement, but still bad.
Yeah.
Moving on, I want to talk about Moonfall.
Oh, Moonfall. That's a
Moonfall.
classic.
The classic film about the moon getting knocked out of
Okay.
orbit and just
The
heading
thing
towards
about,
Earth. And the moon
yeah,
being a mega structure. It's a mega structure. And
yeah.
it's a mega structure built by our ancestors. And it's just such a weird idea. And then there's
The
like
weird
these weird
thing about,
aliens who try to destroy its core and kill us. And it's who made
okay,
this up? What? Why
okay,
couldn't they just make the moon is heading towards Earth because some mysterious force that comes by every thousand of years? You can make it so simple, but no. Roland Emmerich just couldn't. He just couldn't avoid adding his own Independence Day spin to it, and had to make the film like this.
okay. The weird thing about Moonfall, directed by the icon
The
Roland
goat,
Emmerich,
greatest of all
is like,
time, Roland
is
Emmerich.
like you look at it, and the whole like most of this movie is not fun. It's boring. It's uninteresting, frankly. And I'm just like, I'm uninterested. But then the last like 30 minutes,
Just
I'll
go
roughly
completely wild,
estimate.
especially with the
And then it
visuals.
just goes off the rails and it's
They
insane.
just
And then
established this
they
random stuff. The other kids and like the main characters, like I think Kid or whatever, is trying to escape from the giant like storms and whatnot that are killing people. There's a bunch of alien crap, awful visual effects. It's just so insane and gives you so little time to process it. It's just like hard to comprehend what is even happening in this damn movie. It's like
yeah.
it's both boring and fascinating at the same time.
Thing is, I wouldn't say it's like I kind of wish it was like more worth it because like I don't think it's worth the ironic watch because like the fun stuff only comes in at like the very
Yeah, and
end.
this
So I
movie's
don't
like
know if
what,
it's worth.
2 hours long? It's pretty
Yeah.
long.
See, if I say only like 30-ish minutes out of like a 2 hour 10-minute movie is entertaining, I can't really
Yeah,
recommend that. Sadly, not the best Emmerich hit.
yeah. I honestly just
Oh,
this film is also pretty forgettable, so I don't even remember much. But it's just like such a poorly structured mess of a movie. I don't know.
yeah.
I haven't seen much of Roland Emmerich's filmography, so I'm not that familiar with
I
his work.
don't think I have seen another Emmerich film. I'll
I
double
haven't
check
seen
that.
Independence Day, but it just like seems from what I've heard, it seems like that film is like similar to this
Yeah,
because
let
it
me
says
check.
it's stuff about like aliens and whatnot. And
Not
this,
the only Emmerich film I have seen is Moonfall.
all
So,
right, yeah. Um, how about yeah? How about we forgot to mention I forgot to mention Ice Age Adventures of Buck Wild.
oh yeah, Buck
This
Wild
was
was like
miserable,
this and
awful.
Scream 5 were like the first awful movies to come out in the year.
Yeah.
And things Buck Wild is one of the worst of the year, obviously. But
Uh-huh.
if I'm being perfectly honest, I like don't think about it being terrible as much as all of the other bad films that came out last year. Like it's terrible, but I just don't think about it as much. The main things are very obvious. You look at it, it's like a PS1 looking ass game in the year 2022. None of the replacement voice actors live up to the original voice
Yeah, the
actors for this
visual effects
franchise.
are awful. I mean
Yeah.
the animation. Why did I say visual effects? I guess I'm still in the
It
Moonfall
looks like a video
headspace.
game, so you have to treat it like
Yeah,
visual effects.
the writing is bad. The characters are annoying. It's just such an
Yeah.
annoying
Buck,
experience.
who was one of the only good things about the Ice Age franchise before Ice
Yeah, they
Age.
ruined the movie he was in. Just such a just doesn't work. Just so. lame, forgettable, obnoxious, just everything I could hate in an animated movie like this. I even hate how it was made, despite Disney just shutting down Blue Sky, and yet just using this brand to make another movie. Like, they're even making a third Rio movie at some point. Like, come on, really? I don't know. I don't have much else to say. This film is just really bad. It's just a
Yeah,
very
like I think
painful
the main thing
experience that I
about it
had
is like
trouble
it
finishing.
sucks because like Buck, the titular Buck, is the only like fun-ish character in the Ice Age. Not in
The Ice
five,
Age
not in
cinematic
five,
universe.
but in Ice Age 3, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, and Ice Age
Uh-huh.
4, Continental Drift. He is the only entertaining part for me. Yet in here he just sucks.
Yeah.
And so with they got Simon Pegg back for this, like out of anyone else. So I feel bad for him,
I
poor
know.
guy.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't have too much else to say. Just a very painful and bad experience, and I hate its very
the only
existence,
other
and it's
thing is
bad.
that I think they also have Ice Age 7 planned.
A
So
fucking
I guess we'll see
seventh
how that
one?
goes. Oh, and Rio 3, don't forget.
Yeah, I mentioned
So
that already.
I guess we'll see how those go.
Yep, can't
But
wait for that.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, let's what else? Want to talk about talk about what let's talk about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of
Oh
Madness.
boy.
We forgot about that.
Okay. Doctor Strange, thing is, I've gone over this, like, I probably on the podcast, I feel like we have.
Yeah.
I've never been one to watch an MCU hit, and MCU film. Not really been like the time. I never was invested in the universe that much. I've seen like a handful of movies I've liked, but I haven't gone further than that. But Doctor Strange 2, I was mildly before anything. I was like, oh, this is a Sam Raimi film. I love Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. I love Drag Me to Hell. And I love his Evil Dead trilogy. Maybe I could check out this darn little film. Thing is, this movie, I don't blame Sam at all. Sam is an innocent person in all this.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was
whole
probably
thing
Marvel. Okay,
is,
there are instances and transitions here that I think look creative and cooler compared to any other Marvel movie, but it's all boggled down by such a
but
lame
also
and
like the thing
poorly
is,
structured
even when
story.
it's well shot, it just looks goofy because this movie has terrible visuals
It
too.
does, yeah. Like there's this terrible Doctor Strange third eye. That looked
Yeah,
awful. And it's
and
like,
there's just like other stuff. Like a lot of the climax looks terrible, honestly, when
yeah,
like
it's just
all
like,
that's happening.
yeah, they like
But
establish a bunch of stuff, like all those like characters from the like fantastic, like Mr. Fantastic. You got friggin' other Captain Marvel, Professor X, just
you
all
just
of
have
them,
all of
and then
them
you
to be
just
killed
kill them
off.
off
And like,
immediately.
because I didn't care about those characters, so I wasn't like personally
Yeah,
offended.
what
But
was the
also like, why would you do that? As like, it feels like that decision was made out of like spite because they're like,
yeah?
oh, people who care about these characters, people have wanted Fantastic Four in the MCU. Oh no, we'll just kill them.
Huh.
Sure, why not?
And freaking Wanda is probably one of the worst MCU villains. Solely because like they turning her into a villain could have been interesting, but it's a terrible direction based off of how they established a supposed redemption after her of what she did in WandaVision, and they just make her like kill so many
He
innocent
literally
people.
commits mass genocide in this movie.
And then
It's
the
not an
movie tries to make you
exaggeration.
sympathy for
And
her, and it doesn't even make much sense. It was her decision to basically let her kids free. So like, why let her kids go? And yet, how does she like how it doesn't even make sense since why does she have to go to this particular universe to find like to destroy this other Wanda so she could be with her kids? She doesn't even think her plan out well. Also, they established this stupid universe world called incursions, which we talked a bit about the incursions concept when Chaotic was on the podcast, but it's like a dumb
yeah,
idea because like if you're in a multiverse, like if you're in it and
which
causes like an
the entire
incursion and like
idea breaks
destroys the
No Way
world,
Home.
it
Is
doesn't
that
make
entire
any
thing.
sense. The
It
world
already
it
breaks the
breaks the
universe because like
world
we
and
already
it's
had Ultimate
dumb.
Spider-Man for
Does
like
that
clearly an extended period of time and nothing happened.
does that
And
mean
that
that Wanda can't even technically stay with her kids? So like it doesn't make any sense. And even
Like
ignoring,
contradicts itself like immediately. It's
I
so
know
stupid.
that's like easily the dumbest thing about it. And like,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know. And even besides like those glaring plot issues and how certain parts of it don't make sense solely because of the incursions idea breaking, basically destroying the MCU, it's like the whole thing just doesn't feel like well realized, especially since like Doctor Strange as a main character hasn't had any interesting development. So they just bring back a character from the first Doctor Strange and make it his supposed love interest, but there's nothing
Hmm.
interesting done with it. And there's same with America Chavez, who is just a plot device and has a
It's like a
very
plank of wood, and her backstory is
is
like the stupidest
unintentionally
thing ever.
hilarious, where she's scared of a bee and that creates a portal and kills her
Yeah,
parents.
B killed her like parents. That's
That's
like it's so
like
stupid.
really like you could have
Like,
done
and the
something
movie wants you
so
to take that
there.
seriously, but it's the most like
It's so
nonsensical thing
I
ever.
don't know.
Like it just so.
Yeah, what a letdown, honestly. Like there could have been so much interesting. It doesn't even utilize its multiverse idea. You know, it's just like
Yeah.
and instead just like such a lame movie. I don't know. Why is it even called
Yeah.
Multiverse of Madness if they only go to like two multiverses that aren't even properly explored?
Yeah,
What a lame, what a lame train wreck. One of the worst Marvel movies, honestly.
and it sucks because
Easily.
like Sam. It sucks because like Sam Raimi hasn't made a movie before Doctor Strange 2 since
Yeah, it's a
like
shame
an
that this
odds
turned out
great and
this way.
powerful in 2013, and like he comes back clearly he was probably paid a lot or something because like he wasn't originally the director and he was like forced into this because it's like
Yeah,
it's not even like Sam Raimi's like style. It's just like they copy shots from Evil Dead and it doesn't look that good and like because like clearly there was so much studio intervention. I doubt Sam could make another great movie if he wanted to, but clearly he just like he wasn't given the opportunity to.
yeah. I think he might have been
And
pulled
it
back by the
sucks because like
studio on
I
this
love
method.
the Evil Dead movies. The Raimi trilogy. I love. Maybe we'll talk about them on the podcast someday. But like Spider-Man One is literally one of the movies that influenced like my love of film in the first place. Because like clearly his movies mean a lot to me, and yet he just has this.
Yeah,
And
it's
like,
just
it's not
like
his fault, but it's just depressing looking at it.
yeah,
It's like
the shame. Sorry,
one of the
Raimi.
worst of the
Better
year,
luck next
definitely. I
time.
hate
Yeah.
it.
I guess I could. What if we do want to quickly talk about the famous classic Zombies 3? Want to talk about
Okay,
that?
that is like,
This-
sure, why not?
okay, sure. It's
But for
definitely
some
a
reason, we have like a special bond with these zombies
yeah.
films.
One day I decided to show it to him because I've seen stuff about these movies and I thought they'd be funny to watch, and they were bad spoilers. And this is more of the same, and this might be the worst one. I just find it hilarious. The main character's arc is that she's just self conscious about her white hair, and they reveal in this movie that she's actually an alien.
Yeah, okay, so
It's just so funny to
so
me.
Zombies 1 is about zombie conflict, and
About
Zombies 2
racism,
is about werewolves, and
werewolf
now
racism.
and now
Now it's about
Zombies 3
aliens.
it's aliens.
And there's like a love triangle between the two main characters, and it's just so awkward.
Yeah.
Just dumb. The
I
whole
wouldn't
thing.
even call it like funny, especially like it's
There's a couple
stupid,
funny
but
moments of how dumb the whole thing is, and the
yeah,
ending of the franchise when it turns out there's also vampires. They discover mermaids, and the whole town is just some monstertopia, and it's all just rushed
yeah,
into the ending. But yeah, honestly, this film's bad, but I don't even know what I expected from the third zombies movie.
yeah. I will say,
So
like, out of all of Disney's like garbage, their like TV stuff, like this stuff, is like been like the least affecting. Like, it doesn't negatively impact anything like a lot of their like garbage does. Disney Channel stuff can like stay in its own little corner, and it doesn't bug anyone, and it doesn't like ruin the film industry by being the way it is. This stuff could just stay in the corner and be its own little thing.
yeah,
Except for their cartoons that are all like over now. Those, uh, yeah.
yeah.
Probably new Disney Channel
Yeah.
programming.
Yeah.
You
There's
did it.
yeah, we still have a couple more awful movies. There were a lot of bad movies this year.
Yeah.
There really were. What's another bad one? They slash them. Get it?
Okay,
Because
they slash them.
it's like a
Is,
slasher
yeah.
movie with uh,
Okay.
Dear God.
So two things I want to mention right off the bat, so I don't forget. They slash them has unironic similarities to the Family Guy episode "Family Gay" and the
Oh,
South Park episode "Carbon Sucks." All three of them are about gay deconversion camps, and only one of those things I listed is great. The other two are terrible. I just want to remember that so I don't forget to note that. They slash them, it's like a joke concept
good
that for
joke
some reason
idea.
people ran with and was made. And I find it like kind of funny sometimes. I like the stupid musical number out of nowhere.
Just
It's really funny
very
to me.
tonally inconsistent. Like it takes
And then
itself
like
so seriously without the
yeah,
whole thing is like put together. It's
it's
so
called
weird.
literally called they slash them.
It's a
It's so
slasher.
ridiculous.
Get it? Because that's why it's called the slasher. Very funny.
Yeah.
It's like such a weird idea for a horror movie to make out after the they slash them pronoun, and it's like about a gay conversion camp, and then there's like a friggin' like stalker who is killing people over it, and it turns out this like the freaking stalker is actually just trying to shut down the camp. And there's nothing to this. The characters are lame. It's pretty boring. It's not even funny bad from you would expect from a slasher movie called. It's not like as funny as you would expect from the concept.
It doesn't. It's not funny because it takes itself way too
Way
seriously.
too
So like,
seriously from this like idea of a horror of making a horror movie out of like a gay conversion camp after it. It just like it sounds like a funny idea to do after it. Like why? I mean they try to tell like a nice message about sexuality, which is fine, but like it
the
doesn't
message is
it's
not the
very
problem, but I
there's
don't
something
know.
inherently wrong with it,
When
but
you're not
there's something
communicating anything groundbreaking, like
exactly.
homophobia sucks. Like okay,
We get it, that's the
yeah,
joke.
that seems pretty
The villains
self-explanatory.
are a bunch of homophobes. That's the
Okay, the scene that did make me laugh is like when they tie down the one guy and try to like actually convert him to
that was
being gay. It's
like
so
there were like
goofy.
two movie moments in the movie that made me kind of laugh. Like one was like the musical number was out of nowhere and very tonally
Literally, there's no
inconsistent.
setup, and the movie has no other musical numbers. It just
Just by the
happens.
way it was made and just like the way like the cinematography and stuff, it takes itself so seriously, and yet a lot of it isn't even that funny. So yeah,
Yeah,
awful. It's just abysmal in every way. One of the worst of
yeah,
the year, easily. I don't even have much else to
um,
say. Just kind of boring. Very
yeah.
miserable experience for me to
I
get
will
through.
say it is one of the higher 1 out of 10s for me because frankly, it's one of the worst things, but also I kind of got something out of it. It was like
Fair.
kind
That's
of
fair,
fun.
I guess. Yeah. Mm,
So yeah,
but
that was they slash them.
yeah.
Can I rant about Marmaduke?
Oh yeah,
Do you
Marmaduke.
mind?
We forgot.
Okay.
Marmaduke might be my least favorite of the year,
You know
solely
what?
because
Honestly, if you don't count What Is a Woman, which is like trash, not even
you know.
good.
Just quickly talk
Actually, I'll
about
talk
what is.
about that after this. Why not?
Yeah. Just
But
quickly discuss
Marmaduke
that.
2022 is like one of the like most frustrating. And like, 'cause you think at the base level, oh, it's just a random Netflix kids movie.
It is
There
so
are dozens of
baffling
those, and
in
no one
every
cares about.
conceivable
But
way how it was
Marmaduke
even
is like
approved.
on another level. This stuff is like actually vile. Like you watch it, and first of all, the whole thing is ugly as hell.
Just so
All the character
fucking
designs are
ugly.
awful. The movie like hurts to look at. I don't like
It
looking
hurts to
at the movie.
watch. The
It is like
characters are
awful.
annoying. The movie's annoying. The
And then
plot is
also you
dumb.
watch the movie and like the way everything like looks and like the way the characters talk and everything is the animation is vile. I hate looking at the movie.
Disgusting.
It's just like
It's
and then like
hideous. One of the
then you
worst
watch the
animated
movie,
looking
it
movies I've seen.
genuinely is like horrifying to watch. I
I
can't
know.
watch
It,
the movie and like properly like
yeah. I'm
function with
very
it.
mixed if I even say if I can ironically enjoy it.
I do not ironically enjoy this movie one bit. I'm gonna like be perfectly blunt. There is no entertainment value in this movie. I actually hate it. It's
I
like
know.
the entire time I was in like actual like agonizing pain. And the thing that disgusts me the most, like genuinely, this sounds like a joke, but the thing that like actually disgusts me about this movie it's like Netflix actually, it's kind of been the entire animation industry actually, like recently, but
Yeah.
Netflix specifically, they've been canceling a lot of stuff. They've been like, we don't care about it. They've been like perfectly blunt. We don't care about animation anymore, which sucks because sometimes it seems like they did. They
Yeah.
gave 6 seasons to BoJack. They gave Invader Zim and Rocco like finale movies. They they did like a bunch of stuff that was like, oh, maybe they do care about animation. Maybe just a
Maybe
little
a
bit they
teensy bit.
care. But then they started canceling a bunch of stuff, and they're like,
Yeah,
no,
and
we
the
don't
next
care
thing you know,
anymore.
they make shit like this, and then it's
And
just
then they're like, no, we're gonna let Marmaduke live. The actual most bottom of the barrel stuff to entertain
like
toddlers.
how HBO
Put it out
Max
there.
was able to it's like how HBO Max got Velma on there, but canceled like a bunch
Yeah.
of other stuff. It's like
It's like
Velma,
that
which has
actually
been
like
probably one of the
genuinely
most
that like
hated
actually
things.
like pisses me off. Like
Yeah,
you can't do that.
yeah,
Shut up.
Marmaduke is like the Velma of Netflix in some
Yeah.
way.
And the only thing that I do get like enjoyment out of, not even enjoyment, I can like appreciate it, is J.K. Simmons is a character for some reason because he has like off like not J.K. Simmons, he's in a fantastic actor, but he's made like awful like career. They see he needs a better agent because he needs to be in like a good movie
He
again.
is a great actor. Yeah, he's somehow in this movie.
And
Well,
Chip and
how?
Dale
Because
actually, he
he
did not
doesn't.
have a good
Yeah, he
2022.
doesn't necessarily do a terrible job, but there's like nothing. He can't save it. He can't save it no matter what,
He
even
like
if it was
tries,
a
but
good performance.
he can't get anything out of
Yeah,
it.
there's nothing he
It's
does with his performance that made me. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, we've talked way too much about this movie. Everything that's
yeah, like I
terrible
don't know
about it
why
is
this
blatantly
movie like
clear
makes me
about it by watching
unreasonably
the
mad,
trailer.
but also I despise it, and I hate this more than like anything from last year.
Mm,
Like no, I don't recommend this to anyone. And if I sound genuinely mad, because I am, I don't. This movie gets me fired up. No one watched Marmaduke 2022. Like I don't mean
yeah.
genuinely. It's one of the most incompetent animated films ever made. I hate everyone involved in this. I hate everyone who goes, "Hurdy der, what a fun movie Marmaduke is." And then they send the Marmaduke gift from 2022 where he's like, "It's on" or something like that, or like the answer is correct. I'm not
Something
gonna
tells me
name
that
names.
specifically named
No, I'm
a
not gonna name
specific person.
names. But ugh, ugh,
Probably watching this right now. Anyways, I guess so. Yep, that's I guess what you have to say. Also, I guess you
uh,
could quickly say what you thought of what is a woman.
Okay, I guess I'll get that because this is like one of the only things on. There's actually going to be a couple later I'm excited to talk about that I have, but you haven't. But
Yeah, this is gonna be a long episode. Should have
I'll
mentioned that at the
quickly go
start.
over the Matt Walsh film "What Is a Woman." So basically, "What Is a Woman" is a documentary made by notorious transphobe Matt Walsh,
Don't talk.
where he tries to answer the famous question, "What is a woman?" And the thing is, I don't have to explain. It's a very transphobic documentary. That's very self-explanatory. I don't think I need to explain why transphobia is bad. That's like, yeah, that's basic stuff. The thing about the movie is like on top of being like horribly like transphobic, it's not. It's a terribly made documentary too. Like you watch it, and like the thing is, the whole thing is Matt Walsh goes over to different people and asks them, "Hey, you, what is a woman?" And he'll like interrogate them and he'll
Oh
ask
my
them to
god, this
give
sounds
like specific
awful.
questions. And but the thing is, he asks the same questions every time, and he'll go to the same like a handful of people every time. And you don't give Frank the actual people in the documentaries. He'll like ask like innocent people on the streets what a woman is, who are like, frankly, the people seem like very nice people, but Matt Walsh interrogates them, and will like, and if they say like, and if they'll like give an answer that doesn't align with his transphobic views, he'll like start interrogating them and talk about, okay, but what is a woman? Like, you sure? You sure? And they're like,
Sure.
it's like uncomfortable to like, some of the stuff is genuinely uncomfortable to watch when he talks to like actual like trans people and he's like an asshole to them. It's disgusting, genuinely. And like he's also stupid too because he went like around the globe asking different people. Like he spent money to fly to like some third world country to ask people there what a woman is.
That
It's
sounds
like
fucking torturous.
it's like he's literally like an idiot. He like wasted all this money to go to different countries to fly to ask a question he could have asked anyone.
That
It's
sounds
like just the
really
whole.
pathetic.
It's like actually pathetic on multiple levels, and also it's like it's poorly edited, and like on top of that, I just like very self-explanatory. Matt Walsh is good friends with Ben Shapiro, so that should tell
I
you a
guess that.
lot about his character.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So this is
Maybe.
like there are other movies that like I despise,
I don't
but
think
this
we
is
should. Should
like
we even count that as a movie?
if we're gonna count it, we might as well. So like just
If
by
I actually
technicality,
sat for that,
like
it would
if it,
probably be
technically it is a film, and
Ratatouille.
by technicality, Matt Walsh's What Is a Woman is the worst film of
Mm.
2022. There is no argument there. It
I
sucks
haven't
so
seen it,
much
but yeah.
that Letterboxd literally remove the average because they know that they don't want transphobes to boost the average up. They're like
Oh,
they
good.
like
That's
know.
probably
Even
one of.
Letterboxd, who's like incompetent in a lot of areas actually. They like it's a good site to use for stuff, but they're like stupid sometimes. Even they are aware that this film has too high of an average. And I will commend them for removing it. So yeah. What is a Woman? Terrible. One of the worst things I've ever made by default. So yeah.
All right.
I didn't mean to derail, but I just felt I should mention that since it
Yeah.
was the worst film of the
All
year.
right. We have a couple more movies to mention, and hopefully we'll wrap up the worst category. I know this is a long category, but there's been a lot of bad movies this year. I
Oh
guess I'll
yeah.
quickly mention Luck, which was
Well, I
which
did
is
not
like
watch Walk actually.
I know. I'll mention it myself. It is not a good movie. It's a Pixar. It's made by produced by John Lasseter, who was fired from Pixar from a couple of reasons. You might need to search up for that. And now he's moving on to this other animation studio called Skydance Animation. So yeah, and this is their first movie, and it's basically feels like a boring, soulless diet Pixar movie with next to no substance. The characters are bland, and the whole concept of it revolving around like a world of luck just feels like such a lame idea. Because like in stuff like Inside Out, there's like a lot of creative things you could do with like the mind of a human being. But here it's just like the element of luck, and there's just nothing creative or interesting about it. But yeah, it's just all feels like diet Pixar. It even has John Ratzenberger in this movie.
Wait, got him?
Yeah, he's in this movie. I guess that might explain why he hasn't been in like other Pixar movies as of late, and he stopped with
Oh,
the
uh,
cameos with every Pixar movie, which is a shame. But like, yeah, it's just so lame. It is so boring. The movie is like way too long. It's like everything just feels so overly drawn out. The journey is so lame. The characters are bland. The world is bland. It's just boring. Don't watch it. You'll
yeah.
get nothing out of it. It's awful.
Thing is, for me, I don't respect it on principle because John Lasseter should not be allowed to like get work. And I think after he's like, you can look up stuff. John Lasseter is an awful person, but like the fact that he comes back and apparently the people who worked on this movie were like, not sure. From memory, I could be like misremembering, but I think the people on this weren't treated that well either, or like, so. Yeah, John Lasseter sucks, and I don't know why he's been quote unquote given a new chance. Apple TV. He clearly just wants to relive the glory
I
days
think I heard
of
he's
when,
not
and
even
like
doing good at the studio. I think he fell
he
asleep
clearly
during
just
one of
wants
the
to like
meetings.
relive his glory days at Pixar as like
Yeah, and trying to make
the
a new
top. But like
one
he
out of
can't even
this
do that.
animation
So
studio. I don't think it's gonna go
uh,
well.
yeah.
Anyways, I don't know what else. There's. What about the movie One Up, which is a
Oh,
not
One Up.
well
Okay.
known movie,
Yeah.
but
Now,
it
One
has
Up, I hate that movie,
it
but
is
not because it's the
terrible.
worst thing ever. I had a awful time watching it, and frankly, for other people, I'm not gonna go into why it was an awful time because it's a weirdly personal experience. But the whole movie is really stupid. It's about like
Huh.
women's rights in a
In
video game
gaming,
tournament
it's
or
about
something.
gaming. You probably never heard of it. It's a very unknown low budget movie. Annoying characters, bad acting, bad dialogue, just bad everything. Just bad. It's just a bad movie.
Yeah, it's not very interesting compared to some of these other awful 2022 releases,
Yeah,
but
it's
it
easily one
definitely
of the
sucks.
worst in my eyes. It's in my top five worst. But I don't even
It's
have
in
much
my
to say about
bottom
it. It's
10,
just
I
like
think. Okay, yeah, it's in my bottom 10.
it's
So,
abysmal.
yeah.
Anyways, yeah. Also, there's
Uh,
the Dire from Wimpy Kid Rodrick Rules movie we
ooh,
forgot to
yeah, that
mention.
is. The thing is, because weird thing that it's kind of like both of these movies, like they like miss very much a lot of why the original films work. Mainly because okay, I will appreciate this one actually has like a decently long runtime, unlike the Wimpy Kid 2021, which is awful because they don't like it's way too short for its own good, so it can barely adapt anything. This one cuts out a lot too, but it has a little more breathing room to it. The main thing that sucks about this is because like so to start from the beginning, they cut to like the party, like the boys, Greg and Roderick's party nearly at the
Hmm.
beginning. Shucks, because in the original, okay, the original Roderick Rules is one of my favorite movies of all time, even if it's not that good. It's like it's a very subjective rating, but I can have so much fun with that movie whenever I watch it. So 5 stars, it's not, but it's like half ironic. But point is, the movie at the very base level does a good job at establishing Greg and Roderick's dynamic,
Yeah,
because
because
like
we
you have the opening roller skating scene where like Roderick embarrasses stuff for him, and then even after that, you establish that like Roderick is like forced to want to hang out with Greg. They establish the mom bucks thing, and even still, there's even more. You have how Roderick makes Greg ride in the back of his van. They get like abused there, and even after that, you have Roderick. At the church too, he embarrasses him in front of everyone at church. They cause a scene, which causes his parents to get mad. Point is, there is so much establishment of how Roderick and Greg do not get along at all, and how like the situation they're in. That like establishes a lot already. It's great. They get that across, and it's like a punishment that they're staying home alone. And Roderick starts the party, kick starts the whole conflict. But in this movie, it's not even a punishment that they have to stay home alone. They stay at like the
yeah
place. It just is, and then they like the party happens, but there's barely any establishment of Greg not getting along with Roderick. So like what's the point? The character dynamic isn't interesting. So like yeah,
yeah
it sucks.
it's
It,
yeah it's not very good.
yeah,
It's
and
just lame.
also
Also, the animation isn't that good either. It's like
yeah, the
just very
animation sucks.
flat
I
and
the thing is, just like I don't like the. I think I get what they're trying to go for with like the Peanuts movie like looking art style for this and the original. Well, the way it's framed just looks very cheap and not very like. I would prefer they just went 2D like the actual like the 2D like the actual books or like there are 2D segments in all of the Wimpy Kid movies and they all look really nice. So
yeah.
that's good stuff.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's just lame. I don't even have much to say that you haven't already said. So it just rushes all over a lot of the plot beats I liked about the original movie, and it just doesn't really do it in a meaningful way. And just lame. I don't know. I know. I surprise. I describe a lot of these movies like that, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh,
Also,
and
the
also
movie says it's a
another thing.
tribute to Ed Asner at the
Oh
end
yeah, I was
of
gonna
it.
say that. That's insulting. Like
It's
I
just
didn't.
lame. Like
For the record,
really.
okay, what's confusing about it to me though is Edward Asner died in like August of
This was the one
2021,
of the last things he
and
was
like
in.
oh, but weird because Wimpy Kid 2021 came out in like December. So how long ahead have they been recording these movies for Edward Asner to have dialogue like a year, nearly 2 years after he died
I
to
don't
be in
know.
this? I want to know. Does this mean they've had like these Wimpy Kid movies like stockpiled ahead of time? Do they already have like the next couple recorded? Because if they are,
I don't
that's
know. They're
creepy.
making a
That like
third one next
they
year.
have
They're
like a
just
Wimpy Kid
continuing
like
this.
pipeline ready.
Yeah.
That
They also like
they already have
just
Last Straw confirmed though, so
yeah.
that's something.
One last thing.
Yeah.
They also just like rush over and ruin Craig and Roderick's relationship completely, and it's just like
Yeah,
very
'cause, like
inconsistent and
it's
poorly
just so
written.
like because like the whole thing is just so lame. Like
Lame.
at first, like okay, it's more much more natural in like the original movie because like they have like a slow bond over time, and also frankly, you cannot replicate Devin Bostic as Rodrick. So you're never gonna
Yeah,
get
he's
that like
irreplaceable.
you
Yeah.
cannot get that like quality of like acting for his character again.
Mm,
So that just frankly doesn't sell it as much. And also the kid who plays Greg kind of sucks, but he's not
yeah.
like as well
All
too.
right. We should. Yeah. All right. There's also the movie Munsters, which I know you haven't
I did
watched.
not watch the film The
It is
Monsters.
really, really boring and uninteresting. It's low budget. Don't watch it. I have nothing to say. It's just really boring. That's all I can
Uh,
say. I have nothing to say. It's really boring.
uh,
I had trouble even finishing it. All right. Anyway,
Also, while we're doing quick shout outs, you shout out. I'd like to shout out the film A Christmas Karen. It
what?
is.
Yeah,
It
these
is
are kind
okay.
of like low budget movies that you
Yes,
probably haven't heard of, so
this is
they're a bit
like
different.
the title is very self-explanatory. It is a Christmas Carol, but with a Karen as the protagonist, and it is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It is like so like over the top and campy and like makes no sense. It's like the film Karen from 2021, except for Christmas Karen.
Sounds so.
It's so stupid, but frankly, I love it, even though it's one of the worst things of last year.
Yeah,
Go watch it this December. Uh,
yeah. One last quick
Christmas Karen.
bad movie shout out for a movie you ever heard of is the movie Ghoster, which
Oh,
is a film with
no.
probably some of the most repeating of exposition I have ever seen. Half of the film has such like it has something about a ghost dragon trapping like some kid's soul or whatever. It's like they explain it. There's so half of the dialogue is literally just exposition repeated over and over again. It's so funny. The visuals are bad. The acting is bad. It's what you would expect from a low budget ghost movie. It's like what you would exactly expect from the film's poster. So yeah, it sucks. I guess we'll finally I'm good. Let's just end this segment. Let's try and end this. There's probably a lot more bad movies this year, but like I don't know. We're not going to talk about every movie we've all seen this year. Some but we don't
Yeah.
even feel like mentioning. So yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about let's end like the worst segment with with two other Marvel movies, like Thor: Love and Thunder, which was surprisingly awful. I know you saw that as
Yeah.
well.
I saw
Very
that.
tonally inconsistent as we go from someone like Jane having a panic attack over cancer to a freaking bogey bomb joke, and then it just doesn't manage well with the
Yeah,
supposedly dark
For Love
tone
and
of the
Thunder,
movie.
honestly, if we're like judging by comedy, it might be like one of the most unfunny movies from
Oh, the
last year.
freaking goat screams were so annoying.
I
Oh my
hated the
god, those were
goat thing.
so
That was
fucking
like
annoying.
actually obnoxious. I hated
That
that.
was one of the worst. That was so annoying. It was never funny. It wasn't the funny the first time the goat screamed. It was one of the most annoying things ever.
Yeah,
Visual
and also
effects.
Thor is treated like a joke the entire time,
There's
even though
no
like
urgency, you know. No one takes this seriously, despite the main villain literally threatening to kill a group of kids, so he can and trying to
you see
kill
those
Thor.
memes people make about like Marvel movies being like quips the entire time. That's literally what like
Yeah,
Thor: Love and Thunder is.
I'd
It's
say
like
the yeah, yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I think if like yeah, the visual effects are also bad. Like the
Oh,
freaking
the
kid
head
face, the
that's not
infamous
great.
kid face I've seen everywhere. And then there's also like
And they tried remastering it for Disney Plus, but it looked worse when they did it a second time
it
somehow.
somehow looked
It's
worse.
really
I
funny to
just
me,
like
but
yeah. Christian Bale also does not do a good job. I mean, wait, no, he does do a good job. I don't know what I'm saying.
no, he did no.
Christian Bale,
Christian Bale does good because
but his
obviously,
character is just like so. They try to redeem him by the end of it, but it just feels really forced
and
and
he's so
not well built
wasted on
up.
this movie because like
I
obviously
know. The
I
villain
love Christian
himself has like
Bale,
a cool idea. I
but
think he has like a cool design, but there's nothing that
yeah, I
he
love the
does to
design.
utilize it.
He looks cool,
It's
but
like the one compliment, and one of the only compliments I can give about this mess of a movie. It's like,
also sorry, were you saying something?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like a mess with like how, yeah, there's no journey, no proper or well done development that was meaningful. It was just such like a letdown of a movie. And I like Thor Ragnarok, and I love Jojo Rabbit. So Taika Waititi, I would
No,
consider
I
him a
like
good
Taika's other
director, but
movies.
like,
He just like
I don't know what
yeah.
happened
The thing
here.
is, I want to say I think the Taika situation is slightly different from the Raimi situation because like Sam Raimi, that's like you see hints of his
He's
style, but
he's
like clearly,
used to directing a Marvel movie.
yeah,
He's done it before.
he's made good Marvel movies before. I think the problem is he's just like I don't know, just annoying. But
Yeah.
like it's just frustrating seeing all
Yeah.
this.
All right, we're almost done the worst segment.
Yeah.
Just gonna mention Elvis and Elvis. We got Elvis, which was nominated for Best Picture and Best Editing. The editing in this thing made me lose my mind. Way too many fast cuts
I don't
that
know.
had that gave you barely any time to even comprehend what was happening. It does like a poor job at showing like us like events of Elvis's life. I do admit Austin Butler does a good job as Elvis. That's like one of the only compliments I can give the actual movie. It's really boring. It's not even, it's really boring for most of it. Tom Hanks is not good in this movie either. It's just like, just a mess. I don't understand how this was nominated. If it won editing, that would genuinely be hilarious. That would be so funny.
Yeah. I think it would. The fact that it got so many Oscar nominations is really funny to me. Just in
Yeah.
general,
I
like
under
that's I like
Yeah,
that.
I'm happy
Uh,
as Austin Butler has even like transformed into the character apparently.
yeah,
And then like just it's so it's so dumb. I
yeah.
I
Don't
I don't I don't know.
stupid Elvis.
Yeah.
Best
Yeah, it's
picture
not
nominated Elvis is like the Don't Look Up of
Yeah,
2022.
I would say Don't Look Up is worse, but yeah.
It's like the
Yeah.
same thing. We got a really weird Best Picture nomination and a lot of other categories actually. So that's weird. But uh, yeah, I don't know. That
Yeah.
dumbass Elvis. Okay.
And then we finish the worst column. I think we gotta go out with a bang with Morbius, which is not the
Ooh,
worst
Morbius.
superhero movie of the
Okay,
year.
well, Aegis ends the worst call. Morbius is like relatively high on my list, to be honest. It's like it's in the threes, but like a little higher, like for
Morbius
some
is
of
a
the other
dumb,
categories.
overly edgy superhero movie with bad visual effects, a poor manage of tone, such as the famous Matt Smith dance scene that comes out of nowhere. The
Mhm.
It's a film that takes itself so seriously, tries to be edgy, in such a nonsensical, poorly visualized plot. It's just like all over the place. The film is so hilariously low energy, and yeah, I love the part when he said it's Morbin time. That was hilarious. Proceed to
Mhm.
morb all over the place. Certain humorous bits come out of nowhere. It's just like it's definitely the film Morbius. It's one of the movies ever made, as everyone has said it was. You know? Like, everyone has said what they have said about the film
Yeah.
Morbius.
I
It's.
don't think it's that ironically. Like, there's some, like, I think when the action scenes are funny, that stuff's
I rewatched
goofy.
Morbius recently, and it was more funnier than I remember it being.
I like the iconic, the iconic dance scene. That's a great moment.
Yeah, the
Very
classic
good.
Matt Smith did that came out of completely nowhere, based off a film that has mostly been edgy. So like that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, Morbius, Morpheus. You've heard everything about Morbius.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely Morbius. The villain is
Mhm.
dumb. He just becomes evil out of nowhere. Just
Mhm.
decides to become evil. I don't know. I do support Morbius sweep, and I'm
Yeah.
happy it made so many more
Yeah.
billion dollars.
Yeah.
Anything else to
The
say about
Morbius
Morbius?
memes are great, though.
Yeah, better than
I'll
the
say
Minion
that.
memes easily. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
So yeah, that was the worst column. So yeah, we're gonna translate into the next column, and these are just gonna be the other movies that we feel like discussing, and other films. We won't bring up all of it, but yeah. So yeah. All right. So let's start off this
Right.
segment with the movie Prey. So, what do you think of Prey? What do you think of?
I think Prey. kind of sucks.
Oh.
So basically,
I wasn't the
well,
biggest fan of it either.
yeah. So the thing is, I've seen well, both of us have seen all of the Predator
Yeah, I saw them
films,
during the summertime
and
this year in
the thing
2022.
is, I only really like Predator, the film Predator. Predator 2 is fine. Predator is
Sucks, and same
terrible.
with the
The
Predator, which is awful.
Predators, the Predators, the Predator
It's
is even
awful.
more terrible. One of the worst
Maybe we'll do
films
the Predator
ever.
movies on the podcast one day.
Maybe someday we'll do
A lot
that.
to say about some of them, so sure.
Mm. Yeah, no, so and then the Predators is completely god awful. Prey is much better than that.
But it's
I
still
don't
not
know.
very good. A lot of people seem to like it, and I don't really understand that. I think like cinematography and like wise, I think it looks really good visually. A lot of it, the landscaping is cool. Some of the music and score is nice. And the Predator has like a really cool design and there's a couple of good kills we get from him.
Yeah,
But
like
those are
compared
easily
to
the
the
highlights for
Predator,
me.
where like the actual Predator is like a joke. It's nice that he's like actually like sometimes he's kind of intimidating in this, so that like works. Just by like kill wise, at least I like that. I
Yeah,
think my main problem with this is actually a problem a lot of the Predator sequels have. Like, this is kind of what mainly this Predators has this too, to a worse extent, mind you. But I just don't really care about the main character that much. Like,
same. I think
she's
she's
like,
pretty bland all around. Like her main motivation is she wants to become a hunter, but there's nothing really interesting that is done with this idea.
yeah, I don't know. Like, she's like, and then like, cause I can't really get interested in that, I didn't really get invested in like the actual like
Yeah.
story that much. Like, I appreciate that it's at least something like slightly different for the Predator movies. Like, it's not like the
Yeah,
jungle
I
and
don't
stuff
care
where
about
everything
his
is like,
relationship, her relationship with his brother, her brother. I don't care about her relationship with her brother. I don't really care about anything. There's nothing really that engaging about it. I like the
yeah,
setting, the predator, but also the way the predator dies was kind of weird. Like the arrow goes around and just hits him in the head. That just felt like a very abrupt way to kill him. And she also has like this
yeah,
massive hint of plot armor that the predator just chooses not to kill her because he doesn't see her as a threat. But like that's kind of stupid. It's kind of dumb. Like, cause like why not just kill her while you can? Who knows? Cause like she's part of a hunting tribe, so like yeah, like why can't you just kill her? Kill him,
yeah.
kill her. Yeah,
Yeah, it's weird.
a lot of it
Because
is
that,
just
that
kind of
kind of
boring to
defeats
be
the point
honest.
of the actual Predator character somewhat. Because, like, the whole point, at least what I think is scary about the original Predator, not really the sequels, but the whole thing that's cool to me is that the Predator, like, is like an act, just like the mindless killing, like, because he's literally just an animal. He doesn't care, hasn't have like any like standards. He'll just hunt anything. As an animal needs to
Yeah.
eat, so in the original movie he just kills off whatever he wants. But in
Hmm.
this, it's like him like it doesn't really work at least for what the predator like is. And I don't know. It could be worse, and I think that makes the it less cool. Honestly, just the
Yeah.
character. I don't like
No.
that much, but
Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's not much really else to it. It's just whatever. I didn't hate it really. It's whatever, honestly. I didn't just really. I don't know. I got barely anything out of it. I don't really understand why people like it, but yeah, it's kind of boring most of the part. It's pretty bland. So yeah, wasn't terrible though, and I guess it's a an improvement over the last two, but the last two Predator movies were awful, so that's not saying anything. So
yeah.
yeah, I guess let's move on to how about we move on to let's move on to Babylon. Move on
Oh,
to that one.
Babylon.
Yeah, we saw this in theaters. I heard it bombed pretty hard, and I can't say
Oh,
I'm
it did.
surprised.
Okay, that
Yeah,
makes sense actually.
had a
Not
high
many people
budget.
want to see 3 hour Damien Chazelle epics
Yeah,
about
I
old
kind of felt
Hollywood.
the runtime in this one. I don't know if it was just me. And I just said I wasn't like as engaged or into what was happening as much as I was with other Damien Chazelle's work. Because La La Land and Whiplash are generally some of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I agree. They're
But this
like
is just
both
like kind
amazing.
of whatever. I mean, I liked it. It's a good movie. I really liked it. But I didn't love it as much. Like, I definitely think it has a nice respect to the medium of film. And I like how they like show that in some way. I guess the main romance is alright. There's nothing really all that astounding about it. The performances are great. The costume and production design is really impressive to the point when I realized this film should have like won one of those awards at the Oscars.
Definitely should have gotten like cinematography or something. They should have got that.
Yeah, I think the film is like
And
well edited and overall just well put together. And there's like passion here for films. Like I really like the ending and yeah, just
I
not
like that
really.
ending montage a lot. I don't like that they put Avatar in it though. Like you could put
I mean,
any
I
movie,
mean, I
you can
can't
put
blame
Avatar.
them because
Like,
Avatar was like a huge milestone when it became too
technically,
like,
it was for like technology, I guess, which that's technically it
huh,
just kind of for me personally it was off-putting. They're probably like, we're gonna put in classic films like The Wizard of Oz and like I think Citizen Kane was there too, but I was like, no, we're just gonna put in Avatar by James Cameron. A little off-putting for me personally, but yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
The thing about Babylon for me is I think I have it like about like a 7 now, I think a high at 7 low.
I
Because
give it
like
a seven.
most of it, I appreciate. I get what it's doing. I appreciate. It's like tribute to old Hollywood. I think it works pretty well, and all the acting's great. Cinematography wise, fantastic. A lot of it, and then all the acting is great, and a lot of scenes I love. I love like that one like party at the beginning, like the long take. I love that. That's great.
Yeah,
And like
it's
some of
really
the other stuff,
frantic and
like
wild. Yeah,
yeah, and
enjoyable.
like some of the scenes they show of like actually making some of the all the films in like the beginning, I like that stuff. That stuff's fun to me. But
Yeah,
like I don't know, I think like some of it is like a tad too. Okay, the main thing is the film has this whole detour where they go to Tobey Maguire and he talks about like his like film pitches, and then they go underground. And he has like this like underground ring of stuff, and then like it was like,
yeah.
and then it becomes weirdly action or like horror, half
I think they needed
oriented
like
for a
the
bit.
money because Margot Robbie on
Yeah,
like some
yeah, it's
issue
weird. I
financially.
don't like that turn. I kind of like that scene on its own, but then like the context of the movie, I don't think it works the best. Just
Yeah,
kind of off-putting
I
into
know.
some of the.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't have too much else to say, but yeah,
Yeah, I just think it's like it's. I
it's
haven't
good
seen
but
First
not
Man, which I've heard
fantastic.
people also say it's kind of underwhelming. Like I don't mean to call Damien Chazelle untalented. It's obviously not true.
Yeah, he
This
made
movie has like a
two
lot going
amazing
for it,
movies that I will
but I think
remember
it
for.
could like have a little more to it. I guess because it works great as what like a tribute and like it's well done. I
Yeah.
don't know.
To
They
this
could have
day,
trimmed
yeah.
a little bit of fat and maybe had a little more of a point to it. Because like it talks about how shitty the system is, and that's also like a tribute to it too. It's like I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
But I
Good but
would
not good
recommend
enough to make the
to
grade
see at
count.
least once. Kind of want to rewatch because like the theater experience was amazing, but I don't know how much that was like boosting my rating. So I kind of want to rewatch it sometime at home to see how it
It's really
fares in
long
that
though.
sense. It's really long, so I have to like set aside some time for it. But eventually,
Yeah.
I want to try that just to like to see how it is
Yep.
overall.
Uh-huh.
It-
There was
yeah.
also a bit of tonal shift, but how about we talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the sequel to Sonic,
Sonic
since
2,
we've quite talked
that
a
is
bit
a
about Sonic Forces on this podcast, so why about another Sonic piece of media? Sonic 2 was a blast from beginning to
okay.
end
I
with a
love
lot
Sonic
of fun.
2, but it is like decent at best and bordering on bad at worst.
I would say
Mainly because
bad.
that sounds very mean, but the thing
There
is,
are issues, a
logically,
lot of
this movie has a lot of holes. And like I don't, and like they don't detract from the experience for me. They are like
yeah,
noticeable.
like the scene where, like, during the wedding thing, when, like, it turns out the government from the first movie had a plan to catch Sonic at the wedding, but, like, how did they know he was even gonna be at the wedding? I mean, sure, the
And they
human
like plan it
characters
out
were there,
so
but, like,
specifically. Instead,
it's so weird, like, and they didn't really think about it. They just never really explained that. Also, I feel like Eggman in general, near the end of the movie, was defeated too easily by Knuckles when he was just punched like that. So that was like a bit off. But still, it's a fun movie. I really
well,
like
it's
Idris
really fun.
Elba as Knuckles. He does a great job. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, and all like
the
all the
climax is
villains
a
in the
blast.
yeah. Like Carrey is like Jim Carrey as Dr. Eggman, he's like as good as he is in the first,
Yeah,
probably even more. He's like
yeah, he's going
most
all out
entertaining
with this
here.
one.
And then like they have Agent Stone too. I forget
Yeah,
who
and they
he's
just
played
push
by,
the
but there's all
founder.
that stuff.
They just push him and make him gay, which I find that really funny.
Yeah, this is really
I
funny.
like that
And
they
then they
were
do
like
like,
built upon that weird tension
and
in
then
the
there's like
first
a
movie.
weird like dynamic thing with Eggman and Knuckles and Agent Stone where like he's like jealous kinda of the other person being more prominent. It's like
Yeah, I just
really
love
weird,
this
but
movie. It's a
yeah.
blast from beginning to end, and I'm
It
not
has
even like
the iconic dance scene, the
the
uptown funk
uptown
scene.
funk scene. We got Eggman flossing again. Good.
Yeah, or he even says that if you can't floss, you'll be lost without me, or
Classic,
something like
iconic
that.
line. Classic.
Great line.
Yeah, I
My
had a
opinion.
blast with this movie, despite a lot of the story issues. I think stuff like was a bit underdeveloped. Like I think Tails as a character was weirdly thrown into the plot and could have used more development. But still, okay, I passed it. Also, I wasn't the biggest fan of that randomly inserting the stuff with the human characters. I
Thing is,
understand
I
they need
find
them
that
to do.
stuff fun, but also for like
It's a bit
for
detour. It's a
for
weird
the
detour
Sonic
with the
movie, there's a
plot
weird amount of focus on
on the
Tom's,
human stuff. Yeah.
Tom's girlfriend's like sister's
Sister's
wedding,
wedding,
and
which
then
turns out just to
also
be
her
like a
her
traffic catch
fiance,
Sonic.
and then like that gets a weird amount of focus for some reason, and like I find it
It's just such
funny
a
in the
weird
moment sense.
detour. It's such a
I know it's
weird
like it's
detour.
so weird. That's like a main focus kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Anyways,
Anyway,
this film is really
sorry.
flawed, but it is generally such a fun. It was one of the. It was a blast of a theater experience. I'm really happy I saw it in the
I would
theater,
have to
and
agree.
I
Yes.
can't wait for Sonic 3. I am really hyped for it because if I
I'm
had
so
this much
hyped.
fun with
That
this
that, that,
movie,
that shadow scene had me clapping in the
I
theater.
clapped. Oh, I know that's
Clapping.
spoiler, but honestly, if you know anything about this movie, I feel like you already should know that Shadow was
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
post-credit scene.
Wow.
They still haven't like said who's gonna play Shadow in the Sonic movie. Yeah, now
Oh
I
yeah,
think
that's
about
true.
it.
They haven't announced that. I
Keanu Reeves
wonder.
would be cool. Keanu Reeves would be cool to be
No,
honest.
ideally they just get one of his game voice actors, but I don't think they're gonna do that like
Yeah, I know. I feel
with
like since
Tails.
Shadow's gonna play like a more integral role than Tails did, I think Keanu Reeves would fit well because he's a famous celebrity actor, and I also think he might fit the role well.
Thing is,
So
at first I was like against that of like these Sonic movies casting like celebrities instead of like actual like voice actors, but like well actually the only time it's really happened was with Idris Elba as Knuckles.
he does a good job.
Ben Schwartz is like an actual professional voice actor and he does the role well. And
Yeah, unlike Chris
Idris
Pratt.
Elba does great, honestly.
Unlike Chris Pratt as
Knuckles.
Mario, which does not sound the best. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited for Sonic 3. Probably, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I'm more excited for Sonic 3 than I am for the Mario movie.
You know what?
Though I
I
am
am
interested in seeing the Mario
100%
movie.
more excited for Sonic 3. That
Yeah,
will be a blast, and I
I
am
can't wait to see that
extremely
when that
hyped.
comes out. If I had a blast with this movie, I can't wait to see what Sonic 3 is gonna
Opening
offer.
weekend,
Yeah,
Sonic 3.
coming out near
Big one.
Avatar 3, which is a bit nerve-wracking, but we'll see. Well, let's
They'll
hope.
be better than Avatar
Oh
3.
hell yeah,
I'm just
probably.
calling it.
You know,
I'm calling
speaking
it.
of Avatar sequels, I should quickly bring up Avatar 2, which is
Yeah, sure, go right ahead.
um it's more of the same with the first one, to be honest. The characters are pretty Jake's family is pretty standard. I did not like the villain, who's just the same lame generic army guy, just brought back for some reason. And it's just more of the same. Like certain plot beats feel like the same from the first film. A lot of the stuff feels a bit stretched out. The characters and like I said, Jake's kids just don't have anything that interesting going for them that isn't like done better in other movies. Visually it's cool, but like that's it, you know? I don't care for these Avatar movies and I don't know. And I was surprised that this film like actually made like a profit because like I didn't expect that much people to actually still care about Avatar to this day. So
To be
like,
honest, I thought it wouldn't have like the same draw the first one did, especially
no.
since like you can't really sell a film with with good visuals anymore, like you could
Yeah,
when
I didn't
the
know
original
Avatar was
Avatar
still
came
like
out.
that popular with
I
people.
will say though, I can't like fully predict this, and I might end up being wrong again. But I don't think Avatar 3 onward will be as much of that big
I
pull. I
think
think it'll
people
be
are gonna
I
start
think
getting
it'll be
tired. I think
successful, but
at
I don't
least,
think it'll get like because
yeah.
like they're kind of because like these Avatar sequels are gonna be like close to each other relatively in release. So like if it's like three, four, and five are like relatively close to each other, I don't think it's gonna have that pull every time.
Yeah,
This isn't Marvel or like a big franchise that you can just come back yearly
I
for it.
feel like that. I
Uh,
feel like at some point people are gonna start getting tired of Avatar.
yeah,
I'm already
I
getting
mean I've
tired of
only
it. There's
seen the
only been
first, and
two
I'm tired of
movies.
Avatar. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw the Avatar 2 in the theater and like just kind of tired of it, you know? Yeah. What about the menu? We saw the menu, right? You saw the menu?
Oh yeah, I did see the menu actually.
I liked it. I thought it was like
Menu
a
is pretty good.
I like
Uh,
the idea and what it says about like the passion of art, of how the guy is like so discontent, like the chef is so discontent with his life now that he is willing to basically kill himself and basically make the people who have been making him like suffer and like basically to the point of trying to make him kill him and kind of like tries to regain that passion just by making a simple low standard meal for someone else. It's like it's nice.
yeah.
It's nice. It's a dark. I wasn't really expecting. I didn't know what I was really going to be expecting from this movie going in, but I'm glad I ended up enjoying it. I thought it was well done. The performances were good. Um,
Mhm.
I really don't have much to
Nice
say.
cinematography. It looked nice.
Looked nice. The
Nice
setting was
looking.
cool, and
Yeah.
I think the type of tone they were going for was done well. And I liked the ending. And good movie.
Yeah.
I
I don't have
recommend it.
very much to say about this
It's
one at all. I disagree with
same.
what you said
It's
mainly.
not amazing, not really worth making one of the best of the year, but I think it's worth a quick mention.
That cheeseburger looks pretty good though.
It does look like a pretty good cheeseburger, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'd eat that.
Yeah, same. I'd eat that as well. How about we talk
Yeah.
about Disney and Pixar's outings this
I
year?
guess we'll go with
Let's
those.
start
All right. What?
off. Let's start with Turning Red.
Okay.
Turning Red is a weird one. I don't. I think it's just like this is like I think Turning Red, all the outcry about that movie has been really ridiculous because I'm not the biggest fan of Turning Red. Okay, okay. And
Mhm.
before you say you just can't connect it to it, oh yeah, well I'm a teenager, so yeah, I may not be a female teenager, but like
Not even about if you can connect to it. It just like
yeah, I mean
it's
we were all teenagers at some point, so anyone can connect to it in some way. So that's kind of like a dumb
not
excuse.
even a thing is this isn't even like I don't think you should judge a movie by how much you like connect to it. It should just be a good movie on its own.
Yeah, and I think like
Like
just gone.
oh sorry, I was gonna say. So one thing I have about this film is obviously we're all familiar with the famous mysterious Mr. Enter review
Oh yeah.
of Turning Red,
The
which he
classic
discussed
nine the
where he
9/11
discussed the
thing.
lack of September 11th terrorist attacks.
Yeah, the classic
That
iconic
review.
review that
And the
became a
thing about that
meme.
is like obviously that is a stupid not even
That's
a
a dumb
stupid vid, that is a
criticism.
stupid point to make
It makes no
and it shouldn't
sense.
have been said.
Yeah.
But the thing is, right, like, I feel like some people are like dismissing all of Turning Red criticism as just being like that. And I'm like, okay, this movie has a lot of like dumb things about it, unironically. Don't like pretend the criticism is just people hating that there's no 9/11 in it.
hmm
Like, don't say that.
Yeah, or say
But
it's like, or say it's because you just, or say because like I don't know, or is it because like I just hate the animation? Because remember when people got really mad, Pixar, what the hell is this? Like animation, not amazing or mind
everything is
blowing, but
it's
nothing
well
really terrible.
animated, but I'm not a fan of the character
Yeah,
designs
some of
personally.
it.
Like,
There's some
I
good
can't like put my
expressions
finger
with
on it,
some
but
of the
something about the
visuals,
art
but
style I'm not huge on.
I'm not the biggest
I don't
fan of
know.
some of the character designs. Like I think one of May's
Yeah,
friends kind of looked weird, like the one wearing green. I thought she had sort of she had a weird face. Sorry if that sounds mean. And I think the whole message just doesn't really work with all because of the writing execution. I feel like the main mom does not act like a proper parent. No joke. I think Marlin from Finding Nemo, a talking fish, acts more like a realistic parent than the mom from Turning Red.
know what? That's true.
That's true.
Uh,
Exactly. And then then I can understand May wanting to rebel against her mom at some point, but like they don't really. I don't think they do a good job at properly settling the relationship between them,
no, because
and
the
the
problem
payoff
is
of
both of them are too. Okay, so the point is at the beginning, the mom is presented as so over the toply cartoonish
yeah.
that it doesn't work because like I can't take if you want to make it funny, fine, but don't make me take it seriously. Like when they do the whole thing, the mom drags her to like the convenience store where she drew the picture of this one guy working there. Like that whole thing, I can't take this conflict seriously
No,
if you're gonna make it that over the top and that silly.
it's
Like
overly
that doesn't
just
work.
weirdly
You
over the
can't.
top for no
And then like the whole thing just doesn't work for me. Like the message at the end is like, oh, you shouldn't like care
There's a
about
lot
like
of just
should
weird moments that don't like make sense, like the ending climax when the mom becomes like this giant Godzilla-sized panda, and they never
or the
explain why
climax
her
is like
panda
where the
is
whole
so
thing
like
like
big, and there
derails.
isn't even like any consequences they really face from it. May is now able to like I guess rebel more against her
Yeah,
parents,
the
and
whole
it's
thing is
weird.
like
Does it
May's
make
just allowed
sense?
to like get away with anything. Like, okay,
That's
that's it.
weird. I don't
Also, some
know.
of the metaphors is like weird
Like the
if you
panda
look
thing.
at
Yeah, I
it.
know that was like a weird.
Like,
That's a really weird metaphor to make, and it doesn't really make any sense if you know anything about it.
they
So
go
like,
okay.
yeah,
The whole thing about like also I could do with way less twerking for like 13-year-old.
yeah,
Like
that was a
no,
bit weird.
that,
That was a
that
bit
makes me really
off-putting.
uncomfortable. Please don't
Yeah.
do that. And like also just like so get back to like the metaphor. It doesn't work because like you do the whole thing where it's like she like pays other people to see her like panda form or something, and like with
That's
that,
kind
and
of all
that's
they
kind
do
of
with the panda idea.
yeah, and I don't know like if you take away the metaphor from that, because the metaphor is like the thing is the the panda is supposed to be a metaphor for puberty and I like as periods kind of. So if you take away like the metaphor from what's literally happening, she's like turning into like the panda for money.
Hmm.
That's just weird thinking about that. I don't
Yeah.
like that at all. Also, I know some people. This pisses me off. Some people like I call this movie cringe, and I'm like, and some people are like, "Oh, what did you expect? They're teenagers," and I'm like, "Okay, like you can make something cringe to the cringe to the character and like as in the characters, but not like cringe to the audience. Like and like Turning Red doesn't do that at all. It's like the characters are cringe and you're just like cringing at it. And like it's not in like some people probably find it charming. I didn't personally.
I
It's
understand
like
why some people may like connect to the story, but I just feel like the way the whole thing is written just doesn't make up for it at all.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of terrible if I'm being honest. Like I did not get a
I
lot out
didn't
of
hate
Turning Red
it. I
at
didn't.
all.
I just thought it was kind of. It's easily one of my least favorite Pixar movies, and it's probably. I think to this day it might be one of the most divisive Pixar movies.
Yeah, it's definitely been like I think most people like it, but like there's been like more people like
Yeah,
criticizing
it's
it as
easily
well.
one of.
Like
It's probably the most divisive Pixar. One of the most divisive
I
Pixar
think
movies.
this is my second least favorite Pixar movie. Toy Story 4 is my least favorite, but
Oh
this would be
wow.
like second to
Mine is
that.
still Cars 2. But all right.
Uh,
Anyways, yeah, that's Turning Red. I don't know. People can connect to it all they want. I won't stop them, but like, I just thought the whole thing was just so weirdly structured. And I don't think this film is like gonna get kids to rebel against their parents or anything. I just feel like the way they portray the message just makes it almost come off that way. I don't
yeah,
think
like
that should
what they're
never. A
trying to
movie should
communicate. Okay,
not
I
make a
didn't.
kid rebel
They're trying
against
to
their parents.
communicate is like muffled and weird and not in like the best way. And
Yeah.
also another thing, like sucks is because like I feel like this movie wanted to be like slice of life thing about oh they were dealing with like periods and stuff. That's like okay, that's like a thing. But honestly, I just wish we could have a nice Pixar movie a slice of life, and it could have been about her Meg growing up, or I don't know. It could have done a nice on the Earth story and just not had any like dumbass panda shit or any of that. Like,
Mm.
is it too much to ask? Just have a nice, simple slice of life movie without like a wacky element coming into it. This isn't even just turning around. Like, I like Luca, but I would have preferred like
Yeah.
that without some of the like. It would just be nice to have a Pixar movie that doesn't have to have a supernatural element for the sake of it. That's not what
Alright.
I'm saying. But,
Yeah. I
all
don't
right.
know.
I think we should
Anyways,
move
then there's
on.
Lightyear. Um,
Uh,
also not good. First off, yeah,
okay,
it's
thing
like
is, Lightyear I think is slightly better, but I'm not a
that
fan of
might
it
be a
either.
hot take because I know a lot of people like Lightyear is probably like one of the most hated like Pixar movies we've had in like a while. Like I noticed that like on paper there's some potential for the concept, but the whole thing is just so lame and like such a boring low energy space adventure. And like I don't know, and I didn't really get into Buzz's character arc of trying to fix his mistake of getting people
Because the
marooned
thing
on the
is, his
plane.
character arc isn't communicated well. Because like the whole
Huh.
thing is that Buzz feels bad about what happened, but no one reprimands him for this. Everyone's just like happy to see him, so
Yeah,
you don't really
so
like.
you don't
You don't really
feel
even
for
feel
him,
that Buzz did
and
anything wrong.
especially to the
Like,
point where he would become the villain. I won't spoil it, but fuck it, I'll spoil it.
oh yeah,
The freaking twist with Zurg makes no
the Zurg
sense.
twist might be one of like the worst
It
Pixar like
easily makes him one
twists.
of the worst Pixar villains. It's
It
just
just
like
doesn't make
it
sense
doesn't make
at all.
sense from a time
And
travel
also that
logic
doesn't make
standpoint. Yeah,
like
but like
it makes the previous Toy Story movies make less sense because the whole thing is that the toys, like well, at least like Buzz in Toy Story
yeah, they
One
like embody
and Zurg in Toy
their
Story
real life
Two, are
form.
supposed to act like their characters in like media and have like their memories and personality and stuff. But like if that were the case, then Zurg wouldn't say that he's his father. He would be
Exactly. He
like
would say, "I'm
he
you."
would say he's him from the future. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I think they, yeah, it's just like, it's just such a weird twist. They
Also,
didn't
it's a
even like,
little weird because, like, in the whole like Toy Story One, it's implied like the space aliens and like all these stuff is from the Buzz Lightyear
mm,
film or whatever, but they're not on this at all. And all the other like characters that clearly would have some merch, we don't see anywhere in Toy Story One,
yeah.
2, 3, or even 4. None of it is there.
There's
So
some
that
people who like really hate this movie, and like I did, it's a bad movie. I'd call it a
I
bad
think it's
movie,
terrible, but
but
I don't
like
hate it.
I
It
don't
just sucks.
hate it. I
Like,
don't even know if I hate it as much as Turning Red. Believe it or not. I mean, I don't hate Turning Red either,
guys,
but like
this is better than Turning Red. I'll say that
I'll
much.
say, maybe I'll say it too. I actually saw this in a theater.
Oh.
I don't know. I remember the theater experience was cool because it was in like a cool, different theater, but that was about it. Movie itself was mostly lame and boring, and the only things notable about it is that awful twist it has. So, yeah.
I think you might be the only person I know who's seen a Lightyear in theaters. So
Oh, okay.
that's it.
I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know. I just felt like seeing it one day instead of just like, I don't know. But yeah, would not recommend it. And then finally, we end
Neither.
on my personal least favorite, Strange World, which is from Disney, which I think I hate it more because it's even more boring than both of those movies, and I have no passionate feelings about it. Frankly, I
Yeah,
don't blame that they bombed at the box office. Like, I don't know if it was because one of the main kid is like gay. Is that?
I don't think that's why. Okay, thing is, some people, like probably Ben Shapiro or something, I don't know. They say that that's the reason why it bombed. And like, it's pretty blatantly obvious the reason it bombed is because Disney did not market it at all.
Yeah.
And
Huh. Yeah, that's what
like
happened.
I can't, part of me feels bad that it bombed because like it was given no attention. But also, this movie's terrible, so
There's
I don't know if I'll
no.
be
It's such
happy
a
for like a
lame.
big
It's such a
success.
low. I know I keep saying low energy, but this is low energy. There's no. It's such a
Barely
boring.
anything happens when they actually get
They
to
just
like the
yeah
place. Like, there's
yeah.
no real like
They didn't
well, there's
care
this
for anything
yeah,
that was
but
happening. The main character has like something going on with his like dad, and then like his dad basically abandoned his whole family for the sake of his ego, and yet he doesn't even really apologize to him. He's so unlikable. Like at least Buck Cluck didn't abandon his family.
No, and the thing that sucks is they try to portray that both of them are in the wrong, when no, like, only
No,
one of them really is. They try to act like it's equal, but no, this
no.
guy was just an asshole.
Or maybe I'm
You
just
can't, like,
remembering way too much
abandon your
about this
child
movie.
like that.
Some of the
That doesn't
character
work.
designs aren't really good. I was really distracted by the main character's big ass nose. He looks like a freaking
Yeah,
Popeye
okay.
character or
What's weird though is
something.
I feel like some of the character designs in this movie are trying to go more cartoonish, and I kind of like that. But like all the other ones are just generic Disney humans, so it's like
Uh-huh.
they pushed it farther in some areas, but then they didn't in like others. And like for a movie called Strange World, this is the actual like world they go to is very uninteresting and flat, and it's like
Yeah.
they could have pushed this way, way farther than they did. It's kind of a shame.
Yeah.
Like I see elements that could be like decent,
Just the
but also it's
title,
just like
Strange World, perfectly describes how boring and uninteresting the entire film is. You know?
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
this was not a good year for Disney and Pixar, and I
We'll
hope
see.
they will try and improve next year with the next Pixar movie, Elemental, but we'll see how that goes.
I don't have much hope for that, just based on the concept. Doesn't seem very interesting. It might
Yeah,
not be awful, but I'm not like that invested. I will say though, none. Okay, Turning Around got a nomination,
but if it
but
won,
this was not a year where Pixar and Disney got the award for the sake of it. And frankly, I am proud of that.
yeah, I'm really happy because this is like not only is a Pixar movie that I don't personally like, but if it won, even if it was good and it won, I would probably still be upset. As like Puss in Boots 2 would have probably still been better. I guess like I still would have preferred Puss in Boots 2 win, which is my favorite animated movie of the year, and straight up one of my favorite movies of the year in general. So yeah, like yeah, let's just
Yeah,
say I'm also happy that it did not win.
yeah. Plus, there were like way better animated movies this year, so
Yeah, like
that's
that, and
something.
like also Del Toro's Pinocchio, which we mentioned earlier. So yeah, um, yep. What else? What else is there?
Can I talk about the South Park streaming wars duology
You
for
know what?
brief
Sure.
moment?
For those, yeah, you've been. I know you've been watching South Park. You've been binging
Yeah.
South Park
Okay, so
after
funny
the.
thing, viewers, last time we were on, I had seen the movie and a handful of episodes.
We've seen the entire
Now
show.
I had seen all of it. So, in
You
the
binged the
brief
entirety of
time,
South
I
Park.
have definitely improved my South Park knowledge. One of my favorite shows now, actually. But anyway, so last year in 2022, we received two South Park films, South Park: The Streaming Wars and South Park: The Streaming Wars Part Two. And so, for the record, I'm gonna plug Post COVID and Return of COVID. Those are
I've actually seen
infinitely
those.
better than these
Yeah,
in
they're
terms of the
good.
last Paramount movies we got. Those are fantastic and some of the best modern South Park. So I recommend those over these. The thing is, the main problem. I'm gonna start Streaming Wars Part Two, and then Streaming Wars Part One, then I'll move on to Part Two. The main problem with Streaming Wars Part One is like it's way too overcrowded because they're trying to do this commentary on like so the whole thing. I think the reason they made this is because so if you didn't know, South Park the show is on HBO Max. All the seasons are out there. And South Park the new specials are releasing on Paramount Plus, and now the seasons are short. So the whole thing is Matt and Trey trying to comment on how they're trying to make content for multiple streaming services at the same time, and it kind of becomes more interesting when you know that. But like, it doesn't. It's making too much of like the point isn't as cool as they think it is, and also it could. These genuinely, both of these movies could be like one episode, but like they add so much fat to it. They add Man Bear Pig from the iconic Man Bear Pig episode, and that's like a whole thing. And then there's Cartman's
Yeah,
breast,
I've heard about.
breast
Yeah,
implant B plot, which I kind of
Jesus.
like that character wise. I like it when Cartman's mom actually like stands up for herself. That's like interesting character wise, and it's kind of funny the joke that the boys think Cartman has to pay for like a serious surgery when it's just like fucking breast implants. That's funny, but like the whole thing is just not. And then when you actually see the visual, that's disgusting. I don't like that. But point is, and then it's just too overstuffed with stuff. And then in part two, this gets even worse because like so in part two, I'll try to make this brief since I don't want to go on a South Park tangent too much. But there's like too many ideas are in there too because you have the man bear pig stuff still, and it becomes about how like, and then it becomes about the P park from the episode P, and they've like kidnapped Tolkien's dad for like getting in on their like plan, and also it becomes about Randy, who like trying to reform his ways and become the original Randy after he's like become a Karen and obsessed with weed in the past couple seasons. It's weird. Like I like that stuff, but they barely devote any time to it. And also, they just make jokes about Randy being a Karen in part one.
Oh.
And that kind of sucks. So the overall point, I could go way more in depth, but I don't want to derail this into a South Park conversation too much. But overall, both kind of suck, and I like they're just way too overcrowded. They could be one episode. I hope this year because we're getting two South Park specials a year. I hope these are better. The two we're getting this year are better. Season 26 has already been better than 25, so I hope it's like better. But we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'll
That's
bring
my
up.
South Park tangent. We can go back to other stuff.
I'll bring up quickly another Best Picture nominee, All Quiet on the Western Front, which won a lot of awards, and I did not really care for it and thought it was pretty boring. I didn't really like the score. They were just playing this noise like down now. They played it like a lot, and it got a bit annoying after a while. And the whole movie is just like boring. There isn't really anything that interesting with the characters. I guess it's well made. Who am I kidding? Why am I even talking about this movie? I swear I watched it like a week or two ago, and remember I forgot like most of it already. It is so boring and forgettable. I did not care for it. I haven't read the original novel or seen the original movie, but I heard those are much better, so I don't know. Maybe I'll hate this movie more.
The original is probably a lot better.
Yeah.
For me, I just think it's weird that like the original All Quiet on the Western Front won Best Picture back in like the 30s. Now they're trying to get a remake also win Best Picture. That's weird.
Yeah, and it won a lot of awards. Like, I don't understand the score award because literally every other nominee deserved it more. So yeah, I have nothing else to say about it. Let's see. Glass Onion. This is a weird one. I had fun with it. I admit I had fun with it. I enjoyed it. I swear there were a couple of dumb story beats. But, I don't know. I had fun. It was a fun mystery story for me. I know some people who hate this movie. I know some people who like this movie. But you know what? I had fun with it. And yeah, I don't like it as much as some people do. But I still had fun. I just had fun. Okay, guys? I had fun. I don't hate it. I don't let... I don't know. I have a very conflicting opinion on the Knives Out movies. I don't love them. I don't quite love them as much as I wish I did. But, yeah, I had fun with Glass Onion. But, I do have my fair share of
Probably wouldn't like it, but I don't have interest in actually watching it, so I don't know.
I'll leave it to I'll just leave it to like that. I could talk more about it, but, I don't know. What about The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Nicolas Cage? That stars Nicolas Cage.
Oh yeah, that's a fun movie.
Yeah, it is a fun movie. I actually enjoyed this movie. I think it is a huge guilty pleasure, but I had a lot of fun with it. I thought
The thing is, this is like one of the only meta movies like that makes like meta humor kinda that I actually like because it's not really like the funny thing about the movie isn't that they're like, oh, we're talking about Nicolas Cage's career and like Crude's too. They mentioned Crude's A New Age. That's not why this movie's funny to me. The movie's funny because I like Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal's dynamic. That stuff's really fun. And then they get like a lot of mileage out of that. And like that's like the main thing that carries it. And like it's not just the meta like commentary isn't a substitute for the story. there's a story. They just have meta jokes that kind of like enhance it. And some of it's funny, like the Paddington 2 bit, how that comes around and is actually sweet in the end. There's
It
stuff like
is.
that.
I like
You
Pedro
know?
Pascal and Nicolas Cage's dynamic. I'm not the biggest fan of some of the spy stuff that feels a bit thrown in, and I feel like there's just a lot of it happening that doesn't mesh that well. But still, it's a huge guilty pleasure that I had a lot of fun with, and I would say that I did enjoy the unbearable weight of massive talent.
I did too.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anyways, we're almost done. We're almost done. Like I said, we're not doing every movie we've seen. We'll be here all the way.
I have a couple more that I just want to quickly. I don't know if I want to talk about these, but I'm gonna quickly plug two movies you have not seen, but I have. In terms of better animated movies, I want to recommend Beavis and Butthead, Do the Universe. I have not seen Beavis and Butthead outside of the two movies, but I think it's slightly worse than the original Beavis and Butthead movie, Beavis and Butthead Do America. Because frankly, the whole thing in the original was that it's funny because like the they have no idea what's going on the entire time, and I find that funnier than like them like eventually figuring out what's going on and then like it's funnier because in the original they like the government comes in and like praises Beavis and Butthead as like national heroes because they think that they have like these like elaborate plans and stuff, but like they just have no idea what's going on at all. I find that funnier than in this new one, but it still has a lot of good jokes in it. Just like it's not like the best, but it's like it's good for like a one-time watch. There's a lot of good gags in it. Would recommend that. And also the new Scooby Doo film from last year, Trick or Treat Scooby Doo. That's another pretty fun one. I like the new art style a lot that they like try. It's kind of like some of it doesn't make the most sense.
Isn't
How
that the
like
one with Gay Velma? That's all I've heard about it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
hmm.
yeah. And then I just like that one. It makes slightly less sense because I don't understand how this one person was able to make costumes for every like case the Scooby Doo gang has been involved in. But it is a very fun film. So if you want good animated stuff from last year, there wasn't a lot. Recommend Beavis and Butthead Do America and Trick or Treat Scooby Doo.
All right.
Solid ones. Solid.
Yeah. There's other things that we already kind of discussed on the podcast here, like other movies that would fit in this column, such as Weird, the Al Yankovic story, and Black Adam, which we already discussed in
Yeah.
episodes. So you can check those ones out. Same with stuff like Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. So there's stuff like that. Um, Stuff like Violent Night was fun, which is like a Die Hard type thing, but with Santa Claus. Fun action. John Leguizamo does a great job in the movie. Same with David Harbour. The climax is a ton of fun. There's some funny moments, and it uses its premise to make a fun movie. Not great. I have my
Yeah.
fair share of issues, I guess, and it's not perfect. Some of the action starts off a bit sloppy, and the whole thing gets a little slow at first, but it's still a fun way to spend the holidays. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What about the bad guys? Remember that? That's the other
Oh, the bad
DreamWorks
guys. Oh,
movie.
yeah.
I just remembered about.
Because the bad guys, I like. It's kind of It's kind of unfair to compare the two, but I remember people were like, "Oh, the bad guys. This movie is like really fun. One of the best DreamWorks
Yeah, I
things in
hear
a
a lot
while."
of
I watched,
people
and I'm
really
like,
like it. I think it's all right. I
"It's
don't
all right. I had fun with it for what it was. I got like
actually. When I
out
was
of it."
younger, gone.
Oh no! See, I was good. Now you can keep going. I didn't
All
have
right.
much to say.
Well,
Yeah.
I actually read the original books that this movie was based off of, so I'm
Oh,
like, yeah. Also, but so like I was confused when the twist villain of this movie. Apparently, I knew he was the villain going into it because I read the books. So like, and then they just like made him a twist villain for some reason, which was weird. The
is
animation
he
is
like?
obviously amazing, but
Is it like a good adaptation,
I
like the
mean,
book?
it doesn't adapt a lot of it from it. It mainly just adapts the characters.
Uh,
Like I
Uh,
remember the tarantula being male in the books, and they changed his gender, so now
also, we could have
he's going by
Aquafina voice
yep,
the
that's why
tarantula.
Aquafina. So yeah, I don't have too much to say. It's well animated, and I like the two main characters, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the twists. The story is whatever, and the humor was like very mixed on me. Like I
Yeah,
hated
I
when the
like okay.
piranha
The humor
farted.
is fun when it's character interaction stuff, like when Wolf and Snake have like banter. That's fun.
Yeah,
And like some of it is funny when they're like trying to be good, but then some of it just fart humor, and I'm like,
yeah,
no.
like the
Uh,
scenes where the piranha farts. I didn't like that part. Yeah, so that was the
also,
going on.
also
Go.
the world building is
Yeah.
a little weird,
Yeah,
but
for some reason like the main characters are animals but humans, but the only characters that are animals are the main characters while everyone else is just human. They don't explain it properly. But yet there's also animals within because there's a scene when the wolf rescues a cat from a tree, so like it makes no sense.
it doesn't add up at
But
all. No.
but it doesn't make sense. I swear. Why not just make everyone an animal? You don't have to make them complex like in Zootopia, but just make it simple. Like um,
Yeah, that would have worked. Yeah.
yeah. There's also the Bob's Burgers movie.
Oh yeah.
I've seen the first season of the show, and I'd say it's good. It's a nice little movie. Can't say I'm surprised it bombed
Hmm.
because 2D animated movie and it's Bob's Burgers, so I didn't
Because if
expect
they
it
were
to do
gonna do
well.
one theatrical, you think they would have like on one of the other Fox shows, like maybe another Simpsons movie or
Or a
like
Family Guy movie. When are we
even
gonna get
Family Guy.
that?
Like I don't think Family Guy would work weird as a movie, but like statistically, it would get more butts and seats if they did a Family Guy
Uh-huh.
movie.
Yeah.
Way more probably. So
Like the tagline is "Get your buns in theaters," but people did not get their buns in theaters. Not enough
yeah.
people, at
Oh, I
least.
love the main thing I love about the movie is I really like the soundtrack. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
a
the
big
music is surprisingly good. Kind of wish there were
yeah.
more of them, but they're pretty good.
It's weird because it's like a half musical. There's like three songs, I think, so they don't go like full with it. There's like a chunk of music. It's weird,
hmm
but
Yeah, I had fun with this movie. I like the characters. I think the subplot with Bob was kind of like I feel like could have been and have more stuff with the mystery, I guess. But still, good movie. I liked it.
yeah.
Probably one of the for
Uh,
a while it was my favorite animated movie of the year until
well,
Del
we just didn't
Toro's
have a lot
Pinocchio and
last
Puss
year,
in
so it's
Boots
like
2 came out.
part of
So
it. But
yeah, but
yeah, I might appreciate it more if I've seen like a lot of Bob's Burgers. I'll probably watch it eventually. Like, cause I'm interested in it. Like, I just want to see all the long running
yeah.
adult cartoons. 'Cause that's like my domain. We can look back on this funny if I do like a Bob's Burgers binge and watch the entire show at some point.
mm,
Cause I did. I said that about South Park, and look at how that turned out.
yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
yeah, we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
we could have talked, yeah. I think, like, yeah, and there's also stuff like two films that are very, same in terms of my thoughts. Hotel Transylvania 4 and DC League of Super Pets were
Huh.
not very good
I forgot about
movies.
Super Pets. I'm gonna be honest.
Uh, um,
No, I meant like I forgot that it came out last year. I don't
okay.
like forget
I
what
mean,
happened
like,
in it.
League of
But
Super Pets was not very good. It was just like a weird film. I don't even know how to describe my thoughts on it. It's not a good movie, kind of bad, but it's some
the
fun
main
with
thing
it.
is I don't like the art. To be honest, I don't like the art style a lot. To be honest, like
Same,
that's
to
the
be
main thing I'm
honest.
not a
Some of
fan
the
of.
animation was like I didn't like the character designs, especially for like Batman and Wonder Woman had just such
Yeah,
weirdly
some of the
designed
characters
characters.
genuinely look like Fortnite designs. I'm gonna be
They
honest. They
do.
look
They
kind of
do. They
weird.
kind of do. Think the Flash looks kind of like a Fortnite skin, and the Lex Luthor looks like a grown-up version of the Boss Baby, so that's not good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't have much to say. I don't even know how to describe my thoughts on League of Super Pets. It's not the worst thing ever, so congratulations, League of Super Pets. It's not very good either, so yeah.
it's overhyped in ironic enjoyment. That's all I'll say.
Yeah,
As much as some other films, but
yeah. Hotel
uh,
Transylvania Transformania was a bit of a weird one. I thought it was like I thought it was like they should have just ended at the third one. They didn't even get Adam Sandler back. They had to.
To be
Come
fair, the
on,
guy they did get back the guy they did get did do a good job.
they did an alright
But
job, I guess. It was like it was
and
passable.
no Kevin James either, and
I
no
know Kevin
James.
James, so I guess yeah. Um, I don't know. There's some visuals, but I feel like they basically like forget a lot of Dracula's arc from the first three movies,
Yeah,
and
he
now all of a
like
sudden he just
randomly goes back to like
not
not liking
liking
Johnny
Johnny
at all,
again,
even
and
though
now
he's
he
been
doesn't want
like
to give him
fine
the
with him for
hotel.
like 2 movies. That
Yeah,
didn't make a lot of sense.
yeah. And also,
Also,
some of the character designs were not very good. And I'm not saying I'm mad that the Invisible Man was hot. I don't care. They just look
that's
ugly.
okay.
I think they're
A
supposed to
human
look
Frank
ugly.
looks really ugly. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah,
I don't like
they
that.
just look cursed. That's all.
A
Yeah,
human Blobby was pretty good though.
he's just
Okay.
Jello, so that's kind of funny. All right, how about we
Also,
end?
one
Oh,
thing though, if a Dracula has been like alive for like hundreds of years, when he turns into a human, he should like
he should
immediately like
just be dead.
combust.
He
'Cause,
should
like
just be
if he's been
dead.
alive that long, he should like
I don't know if I don't
not
know.
be
Just
able to function at that age and as a human. But
yeah, that's a weird thing to think about. Also, the movie has Ninja who makes a cameo. So
oh
that's
yeah, I forgot
the
about that. Yeah, there is
Ninja
Ninja.
cameo. So yeah, and then we finally end. How about we end on Nope? Nope. Let's end on a hot
Hold
take.
on. Before we
This,
talk about Nope, I'm gonna quickly hold on. I'll get like a couple more, like 1 or 2 movies I want to quickly mention,
all right.
and then we'll be done.
I'm getting really
Uh,
tired of doing this.
I'm gonna quickly mention Baloo's Big City Adventure.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not gonna
that.
talk. That is a that movie is not that good, but I
It's
clapped
a
when a
decent
scene came in.
kids movie. If you're nostalgic for the Blues Clues series, then you're gonna love that movie.
Okay, hold on. I'm just looking at my list, just trying to see if there's anything. Okay. No. Okay. Oh yeah. I think I have two more. One just quickly when we rapid fire mentioned those other 2 animated movies. Paws of Fury, I kind of associate with those two.
Oh,
I don't have much to say, but I just mention it also kind of
just watch
sucks.
Blazing Saddles.
Yeah,
It's just
Blazing
it's
Saddles
just
is
Blazing
way
Saddles without
better.
any of the fun parody or humor and
Yeah,
charm.
and finally, if you don't know, we can end on though, since every other thing we've already had
Yeah.
episodes on and have
Uh-huh.
already talked about in this episode. But the final thing I want to mention is this will be like a minute. The Will Ferrell Ryan Reynolds comedy, Spirited. Are you
Oh,
familiar with this?
I've heard of
Uh,
it. I was gonna watch it, but I kind of just didn't end up
okay.
doing that.
The whole thing that's weird about it is I think there are aspects I kind of like. Like some of the music's not that bad, and I think I kind of like what it's like going for sometimes. But genuinely, the Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds humor drags down the entire thing. Like
Hmm.
Ryan Reynolds is typical unfunny Ryan Reynolds. Will Ferrell isn't as bad, but it doesn't like he's not that good either. And they don't like have as much chemistry as I think the movie wants it to have. That kind of fumbles on its face. Bunch of characters also call Ryan Reynolds hot, and they like
Okay.
pay specific attention to that. So I'm not a fan of that. I just wanted to quickly mention that since I think it's like the last movie on my list I have not talked about or we
Yeah.
haven't talked about in some
Yeah.
form.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Also, this isn't a movie, but I was gonna mention when we were talking about streaming wars, South Park 25th anniversary concert is one of the best things ever.
Best pieces
And for
of.
some reason, I had that on my 2022 list. I forget why I put it
Not
there. I
really a
think
movie though. It's more of like a
yeah, it's not
visual
really a movie. I
concert.
just felt just talking about 2022 in general, just to mention that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all. That's all I got.
You're
Yeah.
right. Anyways, yeah. So I technically didn't watch every film I wanted to watch. I was gonna watch The Northman before this video, so that's why I never brought that movie up. I haven't seen the Northman. I wanted to see it, But I don't know. The movie's just kind of long. We wanted to get this video out, and I didn't think it would add too much to the discussion, so I just decided to like, yeah,
There's a
why
couple
not?
stuff I wanted to see, but I don't think it would have been that much of an interesting discussion. And we got like
Yeah.
we already have a lot of ground to cover with what we did
Uh-huh. Yeah, this is
watch. So,
already the longest video we've ever made, so I guess it makes up for us being inactive on this channel for the last month.
yeah,
Yeah. Um,
yeah,
yeah. Oh, yeah. The Northman. If I see it, maybe I'll briefly mention it in an upcoming video. Because the next couple of episodes may be different. Like we'll talk about like some of the other new releases. Well, we have like 2-part episodes with 2 special guests. So stay tuned for that. But yeah. And then there's Nope, which we'll end on, made by Jordan
mhm,
Peele. Hot
yeah.
take, but I did not care for Nope. I didn't care. We didn't like
I
it.
do not care for Peele as a
This is
director.
probably the hottest take in this video because I know a lot of people might have expected this to be in the best column of the video, but it wasn't
Is
because
I'll say there was a time where I thought that Nope was like the Peele film I didn't like the most. Now I honestly I'm come around. Nope is Peele's best movie. I
oh
think I only thought that because for those in the know, the original Nope viewing was a very sour night for a lot of people. I won't go in depth, but that's all you need to know basically.
I think I
That
like
kind of soured me on. I think now looking at it, doesn't have as much stuff that annoys me like Get Out or
it
Us
isn't
do. 'Cause,
terrible in my eyes. It's just boring to me. I
yeah, that's the
understand what the
main
film
thing.
is attempting to say, but I feel like the way they structured the story and like the stuff with the monkey stuff isn't properly developed enough. You know? Like it isn't fully
Yeah,
realized to me. And like I understand the themes, but like the story themselves are just not that interesting. I don't care for the characters. I think they're pretty lame despite the good performances. And it's just like not anything I would gained much from. And the whole actual theme part of the movie feels dedicated to a subplot. And I'm sorry, I know the film's trying to commentate on entertainment conditions and what we will do to entertainment today, but this does it in like such a vague and just lame and unengaging way to me. And it feels like there isn't even much happening in the plot. So I'm sorry, I did not like Nope at all.
I didn't either, but I will say so. This episode's already as long as it is, so I won't rant about Peel too much. But the thing is, this has the least that frustrates me out of any of his movies. Because in Get Out, I like the whole like conflict doesn't make sense and how all that works. And like that stuff, maybe if we eventually do a Get Out and Us episode, I can complain of.
I haven't
We do a
seen
Peel
Us yet.
episode.
Maybe
Maybe
I
someday, if we do a Peel episode, I'll rant about Get Out and Us, but we'll see. But and then like so Get Out's all that, and Us is like actually incompetent on every level. I'm
mm,
not exaggerating. Like I hate Us more than I hate a lot of movies, but that's a whole other can of
yeah.
worms.
I don't know.
See,
Maybe
Nope, it's kind of stupid too. I don't like the climate, the stupid nickel thing. I don't like the
um
climax with like the
the
horse and
stuff
stuff.
with the main like guy thinking that he would be able to harness the power of an alien after fighting up a killer monkey, because it makes sense, you know, if you fought off a killer monkey you could fought off an entire alien. That makes
Yeah, that
perfect sense.
doesn't work. But yeah, because Nope has stupid stuff like that, but a lot of the movie is unengaging. So
Yeah.
like, I can't. Out of all these, Nope is Peele's best film. Maybe,
I might.
just maybe. He's like, cause like he's slowly gonna improve over time.
Hmm, I don't
Maybe,
know.
just maybe.
Maybe
Uh,
one day I will give this movie another chance, and I don't know, it's boring, so
maybe someday I will like a Peele movie. Uh,
maybe. Sorry, Jordan Peele. I will admit this film looks beautiful visually. The western, just the whole backgrounds and just the fields, they look gorgeous from a film standpoint. I'll give it that. But the film itself, I just got nothing out of it, and I'm sorry. I know a lot of Peele fans. I know a lot of Nope fans that probably call this one of the best movies of the year. But I personally think it's one of the most lame and forgettable ones in my eyes. And I know that's a
yeah,
controversial opinion.
yeah.
So probably the hottest take in this video now that I think about it.
Yeah.
One
Well,
of
maybe
them
my
at least.
streaming wars part two take is pretty hot. We'll see.
So that's it. We're ending it now. That's
All
it.
right.
Hope you
Thank you all
enjoyed.
for
Thank you
listening. This was
for
a very long
yeah.
video.
This
We
is
got a
our
lot of ground to
longest
cover.
video. Yeah, but thank
But
you.
I'm happy we talked about a lot of
We
stuff.
talked about a
of the
lot of
questions.
stuff. We will do
I
this
think I talked
next
about
year.
like I didn't intend to. I think I might have accidentally talked about like everything I wanted to, because like all the stuff that we didn't make a separate episode on, I think I briefly mentioned or like talked
Yeah,
about on my
there's
list.
more
But,
movies I saw, but I don't feel like mentioning them, and I don't think there's anything that interesting I really have to say about them. So, yeah, I talked
well,
about
I got
everything I
all
thought
my
was
ground
interesting to
covered.
talk about.
Uh,
Overall, movie year went all right. So,
could
thank you.
have gone a lot better, but
Yeah, there
that's
were a
just
lot
life.
of bad movies, but there was some good stuff, like Puss in Boots 2. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll do this next year for 2023 movies. But thank you, and
Yeah.
see ya.